Alright, I'm good.
Alright, 3, 2, 1. Alright.
Turtle, you want to see if Zucks wants to...
Yeah, it's fine.
Wants to what?
Play Don't Starve.
There's nobody in mid yet.
But you're right. Oh,
Because that's what we were originally going to do, and then you called us in.
We had to take care of that anyway. Like,
Oh, no, I know. I was just saying that was what we were going to do, and then he called us in. Nothing to do with anything else.
I just realized I was looking at a picture of Set. Set has a fucking Vardish.
Yeah, he does.
With that skin on it. I mean, it's probably more like a halberd. He just holds it like that because he's so fucking big. I think you guys should play this solo more.
You like the soul?
Merlin did his red already.
I mean, I think this solo gets a lot done, and not that many teams realize how good it is or how to play against it. I think she's so good.
Yeah.
They're going to get totem here. I'm going to see if I can strip most of this wave off of him, though.
I mean, look how much pressure you get. I mean, it's very obvious that Valve's not used to playing against it or being
So
what
we'll
he's
hit 2
supposed
off
to be.
this. Yeah, I guess getting hit by autos from her. Full passive. Going Gab, going Gab.
He stopped my blink.
Okay, back up, you're low, you're low. He's 2. It's a shield down.
Vision on Merlin. Merlin's
Okay, they're low, careful. That's a win for us.
You sound super muffled.
This,
The worst coming right.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah,
I could've gone with the purple.
I got swept.
What are we going to be doing, Turtle?
careful.
He's coming right to
Yeah,
you.
Gab's gone. I'm not going,
I'm not gonna.
Yeah, Cherno
Alright.
coming, yeah, Cherno. Cherno behind.
So, I mean,
Nice job.
this is a really good fight from you guys.
Nice
I mean,
job.
There you go.
Dirt didn't need to die there. He shouldn't have rotated through that
I got
way
his
the way he
hammer
did.
earlier, so he
Mhm.
couldn't
But
leave like
you guys
that.
are getting a lot. You can even get a
Too
lot
many
of tower
goals.
damage off of this.
2 minutes, but I wish.
I would have kind of put some auto
I
into the
know.
tower.
Yeah.
Because if you can kind of put some pressure into that
Jesus,
tower,
Lord.
the lower you
Merlin's
get
by
it, the
himself
more
in
likely
mid.
he's gonna stay and defend anything.
Yeah.
And also, like, the quicker you have that tower down, if you can get it down, that opens up rotations with a lot less
I'm a back
penalty.
for, oh my gosh, I'm a back for boots.
Okay, I'm gonna rotate over now. Okay, oh, let's grab that. I'm gonna rotate over.
Okay, I want to just dash towards their blue. That weapon is currently on it.
Alright. Once we see fucking Merlin, I'm blinking on him, okay?
Gab's missing right, careful mid.
Remember, Gab has no blink. Gab has no way to defend himself.
I don't see him anywhere.
He probably backed already. We can clear it line.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking at him. I need that tower. Let's go get. I'm looking to blink if he comes over.
I think Souls is one of the hardest
Merlin
characters
has
to
red,
deal
yeah, he's
with,
wearing it.
especially
Right
early.
here.
Yeah. She's
Gambit's still
even
2.
worse. I wish she could take a tower in like 5 shots.
Yeah.
Game's 3 now.
I'm on it.
Knock up,
here.
knock up.
I'm knocking up. Okay, guy.
Oh, Tubby's going in.
I'm fine.
Good. Merlin's right on this corner. Be careful.
They're not, you can get the purple.
That was really good, guys, but you got way too close to get your damage off there, and you got a double kill by the metal.
So you got boots done early.
There's a ward right here. So
You could have sold those health pots for wards. You don't really need the health
Yeah,
pots.
you can probably add his purple.
Yep.
Maybe black, but I don't know. He isn't 5 yet, so.
If he had not hit 5 there, we would have killed.
Okay, no eyes on Ama.
I'm gonna grab this red on him back.
Back
No worries.
counter. Yeah.
line. He's
Yeah, I heard
kind of
there's-
holding around like the close corner at his tower.
Lefts are up. We need to be getting.
I had the back.
Start getting timers on the mid.
Yeah, mids are up. Like lefts and rights are both gonna be up here.
I'm running the rights. Let's get some
Rights, they're going to rights right now.
Yeah, they got it already. Let's just go get. I mean, if you want, we get engaged. Yeah,
Yeah, I was gonna say we could have.
I'm waiting for them to come over.
Chernobog, I think,
He's up
backs.
here.
Ammo into her blue.
It's fine. We need to get lefts. Lefts are up, Drago.
They're going to their speed.
Yeah, that's fine.
You get 6 off me.
Did you? Or did we clear it quickly?
I was already 6.
If he's looking to engage this alone.
I mean, can you just freeze him out of wave?
You don't really freeze him, dude.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
Who's in mid?
The big thing here is that you just remember, like, you have to be careful where you're playing up in the lane because,
Yeah, I was gonna say.
especially with buffs
Yeah,
coming
got
up,
it, got it, got it. Yeah,
buffs
no,
are
just let me know.
like your red buff's coming up
Mhm.
soon.
Do we have
Just
to-
assume that enemy red coming up soon.
Everybody's speed is-
Like,
Okay,
No
if
vision,
you have
no
pressure
vision,
in
Chernobog, he
mid,
has ult, careful.
it kind of like it allows you to kind of be a little bit more further up in the lane, you know. But like once you lose like that pressure in mid, you have to keep in mind that rotations are relatively easy to make from that point.
He just dashed into the wall. He just dashed.
Alright, you got Thor behind you, Thor behind you, Thor behind you. You got everybody on you.
No, it was good there, but like look what came up.
He's
The
trying to
purple
get
buff
these people
came
off
up.
of you, okay?
Thanks.
And
That's
that's kind of what caused a lot of that. You have to keep that in mind.
This is missing.
Like, I missed the ult, fucking item. Oh.
oh.
Oh, I didn't know.
I have no man. I can't rotate over there.
I'm here with no ult though.
Oh, nice.
I should have called that. They're all really low.
Yeah, well, I'm here.
I will
Da-
turn them into
They don't have a lot,
something
they don't have a
more.
lot.
I'm getting red. I'm getting red. I'm getting red.
Heads up.
I'm getting red.
I'm just here bullying them, though.
Yeah, I'm looking for a
Fuck,
steal.
yeah,
I'm
you
running
got
over
it,
there
though.
now.
That's his. Oh, can we get Gabby? Gab has no roll out. He's slowed.
We don't have.
Okay, getting out.
Turn him up, oh, turn him off.
Yeah, Cherno's ulting.
You have no mana, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, Trino could have gone on you, dude.
Not with you there.
No, okay.
We can get lefts and rights here.
I mean, and my passive still
You're low
hurts
in mana
too.
too, so you kind of decide what
So
you're
just
gonna
know
do.
that Chernobog has an ult now, so that's actually like a really good.
You know,
work for
because
us.
now you're gonna lose like this wave probably. Part of this next wave at least,
What speed did you get?
because he's probably gonna be back like in a couple seconds to clear this. Probably when those waves meet, he'll be there.
Okay, no problem. I'll get a sentry here. I need a back, actually.
I have my ult up now. I don't have boost for 80.
Probably won't lose as much then, because he was late to that wave. He came out of the side jungle. I don't really know where he was. Probably checking the work, I assume.
I don't have any.
Chernobog missing. He cleared wave, so you could.
Remember, you can
Make
heal
sure we
off
get-
the turrets as well. We have no eyes on turrets.
He did wind up. We only did get 4.
Oracles are
out of
coming up
12, so I guess we did
I'm
lose a
backing here
lot.
for boots and wards.
I'll sentry ward top here since we're aggressing so hard. But I'm gonna need someone to help me, like, kind of like clear it.
Yeah, I'm well.
Okay. They're going on. Okay, never mind.
They're just
Yeah, I'm
focusing.
also backed for boots and wards.
Thor's in mid. Thor hammered. Thor hammered.
So with Soul, you could point skip at 8 to get the full Stellar Burst and the Supernova point at
Mhm.
9.
The red should be coming up.
Still a
soon,
bit.
That's how you want to
right?
do it. You
Back
can
up
do
behind
that.
you.
I usually will kind of opt to get my 2
Chernobog might be
level,
coming
my
mid.
1 level,
He's under the stun hammer.
regardless.
Yep, stun.
Like I won't
Chernobog
put a
could be
point in
coming mid.
Supernova generally that early.
Mm,
An extra one.
he blinked under the wall.
Chernobog has no dash.
Thor's
I'm so-
one.
Go.
Look at the
Enemy
blue
has
sword.
been
You got.
slain.
We have to get out. If you can get out, get out.
Okay.
That's Alma's ult down.
Let's show it. Let's show it.
Oh
That
my
was
god.
Melon beads.
Shape House in game is on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's timer on.
They grab red. It'll be back up at.
I got rights. We have those.
I mean, I'm gonna like see if I can first out turn the box ult here. Okay. He's gonna probably dash away from me.
Merlin's still in mid with like no health.
I mean, I'm coming back.
Gab's
up,
here, so I can't like go
Aggressive.
press.
I'm coming with you in mid then. Oh my god, you're aggressive.
Be careful, PS5, no eyes. They have no, they have no
That door has no ult.
Yeah.
There you go.
There's
I'm just gonna auto.
Turnbug's going back to base. Careful for an ultimate to left.
Yeah,
I can't
no.
get there if he does.
Gab,
He
Hey,
just
can
backed.
Can us three do fire here?
Gold? No.
I'm gonna ward it, but I'm probably gonna send back to my blue buff here.
You're gonna back?
You have Bancroft's dummy. You're sitting at a lot of
I can
gold
get transcendence here.
right now. You know, you're 700 over. That's a huge power spike that you don't have yet. So you really need to make sure you get that immediately. When you
I got
get that,
power
you can start really looking for Gold Fury too.
Amos proxying.
You know, because you're gonna be able to do a lot more than
There's three
Chernobog
mid
did.
right now,
Chernobog's
Gab.
probably from this point
Almost proxying. So they're probably
behind,
gonna rotate for gold.
Watch out
probably
for
gonna
rotate
go.
for gold.
Chernobog is
Either way,
missing
just
still.
against the Godlike Soul, probably gonna go into like a Bloodforge instead.
They're looking for a gold dead. Hopefully pushing up on the high now.
I'm gonna.
They're gonna-
Or it.
Rights or left? Alright, up.
Turnbug third wave and right missing.
It's a counter
Also, Alma's ult is back up.
Turnbug cross the warden top right. Careful mid. Careful mid.
Look it up. Oh, you guys aren't here.
Oh, what? I didn't hear you, dude. Sorry.
Yeah, you sound extremely muffled, Tony.
Okay.
I have no idea, man.
Yeah, Alma's back and left now.
I'm gonna go on Dirt.
You got.
You think he might know? He went straight to.
You gotta
town.
careful, Turtle.
I know,
I
I know,
could-
I know. I'm just distracting them because I wanted them to gank successfully, but I guess not.
Mm,
Okay, Alma's most likely
That's a
rotating
shield.
here.
Hey, I'm coming into the
Oh,
wall.
Alma's proxying again.
Thor's one.
Yeah, Thor's hammer.
Run away with
A
him.
foe has withered.
Go, retreat.
An
Damn
ally
it,
has
bro.
been
This
slain.
Gab ult. Fuck.
Oh my
Good
god.
ward. That second ward, I think you could have put a top right. Probably would have been better.
From the tree
Just gonna pick up.
Like top right mid?
Yeah.
You want me to secure red or no?
You should have went.
Yeah,
I think
take
you
it.
also should have probably. You also probably could
Can't
have went
take
right
it,
to
I can
mid.
secure it for you.
I mean, it's fine getting the oracles and everything, but you rotated out. You probably could have made it into like the tail end of that team fight, or you could have kind of just communicated that you weren't looking to rotate. Like I don't know if your team was expecting you to rotate, because I mean, it definitely
He
looked
has
like you
little
definitely
mana
had
over
the
here. He
potential
probably
to
has
do
enough for
it.
a dash.
Yeah.
Just kind of make sure like when you're leaving the lane and there's like a situation going on in mid, you
I
know,
don't
like where
have vision on
Toby's
Thor.
there and being a problem.
They're gonna get right.
You know, kind of make sure that you're kind of
He's
like
being
clarifying
very,
like what
he's
your
being oddly
purpose
aggressive
is,
just having no mana.
I don't have.
just so
vision
everyone
anymore.
knows.
Okay, he's backing.
Hey, come here.
Right mid,
Okay,
right
Alma's
mid.
going to her blue right now. Just up here.
Let's her down. That'll be back up at 14.
Except
Almost
for I
backing.
can use my one.
Turnbug backs.
I'm back
No
in
vision
here
on
as
mid.
well.
Thor's right here. Thor's running away here.
Push mid. Nah, never mind.
Thor's around here. Be careful. Hello. Thor's right here. Thor's right
Merlin's.
here.
They're trying to look the rotate here.
I have
Alma's
beads
doing
ult.
the thing
I have-
again.
Fucking
Yeah,
god.
He
I'm
hasn't-
gonna go reset, Tony. I need to buy items. Be careful. Don't be aggressive.
That's flicker mid. I didn't. Oh my.
Okay. Alma has toxic.
That's flicker
wave.
mid.
No, it's fine. I'm just gonna, careful.
Flicker mid.
Careful
Watch out
clearing in the
during
wave.
Alma, we don't have wards in
Thor's.
He's getting to the point now where in a few levels, if you get hit with that, he's gonna do a lot of damage.
Again?
Yeah. Just
Alright.
came and slapped me real quick.
If you get a normal ward on gold, they're gonna look.
I don't have a ward on me. I put mine on high.
I'm on left.
Turnbug is still
I'll
here
win
with
left.
me.
They took out my sentry top right here.
You see Geb
They're-
crossing.
they're
Grab
all
here.
Look at Geb.
Okay.
Turnbug is just here, just looking at me. I can go in there though. I'm on my way.
On me. Yep.
Thurl.
Yeah, turn ult
Let's
coming.
turn ult.
Nice job, nice job.
You want, but do not step. Keep killing all you want.
I'm
but
right here
do
with you,
not
They're
Turtle.
step
chasing
on
you,
my
Tony.
flower
They're chasing
beds.
you. They're chasing Tony.
I'm going around the long way. I'm going around red.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's back off. Yeah.
That's Merlin's player on me. Merlin's just on me. Merlin's on me.
A branch snapped from the tree of life.
That's a Merlin agent.
Holy hell.
That was like look how much gold you have on you though.
What a grip.
You know, you're sitting on, you know, almost 2k gold. And look, you rotated late into that fight, so maybe
he
you should
has-
have
he
had. I
has
probably
some
would have. You
bats
could have
gold,
stayed
but-
back a little bit, tried to contest this with Tony.
Just cut them off.
Like the buff was already
Okay,
down.
almost
You got to
here.
mid late. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's beads. That's
I'm
all.
gonna-
No actives. No actives on the Merlin.
Has been slain.
And we're funneling into the fight. Remember that. Just be careful.
Yeah, almost there.
I'm still level up on Cherno.
Look, Bede's age is down on Merlin here. How the fuck are you level 4 and he's level 15?
Huh?
No.
She has no dash.
Careful, don't commit too
Sir,
hard.
Come here.
I don't have any cooldowns, but I got it.
I have no
She can
vision on
block your
Cherno.
An enemy
Nice
has
job.
been slain.
I'll push left here. I shouldn't have done anything.
You man, careful.
I'm not. Oh my god, this man hurts.
Oh, I was gonna try to get this flicker, but
This man hurts now.
he has no flicker for like
Yeah,
a
but
couple of seconds. So
I'm gonna sentry ward top left here. There's nothing there.
I have no vision Cherno. He hasn't been here for a while.
Okay.
Is he mid? No. Who is that?
Thor is around here.
Okay.
They're gonna get rights here.
yeah,
Rights are down already because Gep's hugging
I can back and get an
Careful.
active here.
Wait, Thor, what are you doing?
Almost
Yeah,
back up.
everybody rotating towards you.
Oh lord.
I can't save them. I have to reach them. Like, I don't think.
So, Merlin's almost dead. Merlin's almost dead. He has no
Merlin's
act.
one.
Oh god. There's Thor ult. But man, Merlin's like
dramatic.
here
Oh,
no
God.
Oh god. I heard it.
Thor has no ult.
Okay, I'm picking
I'm
up
like,
a
I'm
blink.
listening to
Thor has no hammer. No hammer on Thor.
I'm gonna.
Merlin is completely out of that fight.
I got his beads here. I'm just gonna reset here. Just.
Was that beads or was that cleanse from the shield?
Almost here.
Yeah, almost there.
So I think right now you guys have to kind of be discussing like, hey, you know, like what's the plan? What can we look to do? You know, fight around gold didn't go so good. Can we kind of go to pyro? You know, we're only 1,000 gold down. You know, we're still in this. You know, like just you guys need to be talking it out.
I see that.
You know, you guys are kind of just keep like
It's half.
if you're letting like look, this is where it starts. You're letting us kind of run you around the map.
No, I tried.
Mhm.
Careful.
Like you're gonna go. You almost forgot to buy your item. I mean,
It's alright.
now you're gonna run
Do
out.
some damage. He does
And,
have
like,
a
The
buff.
three's already
I'm
down.
on my
You're
way.
gonna fucking hustle as
Between
fast
tier
as you
one,
can
tier two,
here.
Phoenix.
Okay.
The objective's
Okay,
down. The fight's
yeah.
pretty much over here already. You know, but it's frantic.
Better now.
You know, like
I'm
J
out.
Powell's gonna get caught.
He stopped my
A
back.
plant is only as strong as its weakest.
Flicker down, flicker down.
It seems ours
Flicker on
was
Merlin.
just pruned.
Yeah, he's alone.
This is
This is a miscommunication from us. I thought we were going mid. Everyone did, but Toby was the person we really needed there, but he didn't hear us. But you guys wind up losing a lot for this too. So think about it. You just died,
Body blocking.
came back,
Spears fall.
came back in, died again. Now look at the levels between you and
Oh.
Dirt.
Mhm.
He has no mana.
It was done. Who you know he's playing Chernobog, who does actually nothing. You know for the whole first 15 minutes, 20 minutes of the game.
Oh, I gotta.
You know. So you lost your entire lead in the matter
Oh,
of you
yeah, they have
know
the tier
a
one
minute and a half, a minute and you know 45 seconds.
We got gold coming up in about a minute and a half here, so can we like?
Wow, and then Turtle's talking about a minute and a half, like a second after.
For everybody here.
Nice job.
Alma also went Frenzy as her second relic.
Okay.
Alright.
I'm gonna need to get fucking.
Going back, I'll be ready for this fire. I'll have wards for the thing soon.
Okay.
I'm
I
gonna
have
drop a small
Moonlight,
ward
so I
on
can
it.
take a little bit more of a beating.
I have a
We
lot of
really
Clear
have
up high.
to make sure Uma doesn't get too ahead of us on the rotation though. That's gonna kill us.
I cleared up high.
And maybe let me see if I can like force something out from the Trinabog
Almost
here.
currently mid.
So
He's not here anymore, he's not here, he's not here.
Teleported.
I have no vision on him. Oh,
He's right here.
careful. That's
Remember, so all I need is
Sweepin pokes with his hammer a
All
lot,
you
so
need
like
is what?
No, Sweepin does his shit backwards. He does the one, then the attack, then the two. It's funny.
yeah, but he throws his hammer like willy nilly. So
No, yeah. If you see that throw, just win.
Okay, I haven't seen that yet.
Okay. Alma is right
Watch out,
there,
Alma.
guys.
I'm backing up a bit.
My blink is up. I can look for.
He's gonna look at the stun hammer now.
You need to back up and duo. They might just rotate at you.
Yeah, with gold coming up, you're 100% gonna get rotated on for doing stuff like this. People are already just looking to
Yeah,
kind of
it's
clear out that right side jungle, and anyone's looking for any kind of
They're
excuse where they can
rotating
go
towards
rotate
you.
over, get a
Amma's also
pick.
heading towards
They're
you
looking
all.
at
No, red's coming up too.
Yeah, they're
We can
getting
grab-
gold.
So they're
Yeah,
assuming they
it's
cleared red
pretty shaky
timer
right
for
now,
your next
so-
red. They're just looking for
Sun
any
down
kind
on
of
Thor,
pick
sun
at
down
this
Thor.
The
point.
thing
Yeah,
is, I need a
I'm behind
flicker.
them.
So I think
If
they
not, I'm
group
not gonna
up.
get
Churno's
rid
in
of it.
right. I gotta go right to clear
This is
that
really
lane.
dangerous to walk over like this.
They got
I'm a dash to mid.
Merlin is all the way to the
There's a
right
bubble
this
on
turn.
Gab. Gab has a bubble on him.
Yeah, we could be able to pop
Popped it,
it.
popped it,
Good job,
popped it. I popped it.
Got some damage from Thor a little bit.
Hammer.
They picked it up. They picked it up. It's up. They picked it.
You look at Merlin in mid.
We
He's
don't
by
have
himself.
Merlin, man.
The Merlin, okay, I'm engaging on this.
I have.
I'm
I
on
do
turn
have-
a bug. I'm on
Yeah.
turn a bug. I'm gonna ult him here.
Okay.
Ah,
Went him in the
Dead
wall.
shield.
Alright. Guys,
Okay, still no eyes on Merlin.
They're slowed.
The plant is only as strong.
Right.
Thor ulting.
Thor ulting
Thor
it.
hammer. You gotta separate.
Seems ours was
Almost looking at me. Yep, they're on me.
They're slowed.
Turn on the turn.
External bug ult.
Keep waiting for the Lord.
I'm dead.
you have lost an ally, but give me a moment.
Alright, look at the vision control. You guys have vision control
Mhm.
too.
By far.
It's just like it's just a rushed fight.
Yeah, so
Yeah, you
we'll just kind of
They still have to go
Went
to
in
Well, you guys just
super
kind of you just kind of
Storm.
settled for like what you saw
backing
first.
up low.
It
I'm
was and
trying
it
to
wasn't
clear
you
out
know
deep
like
after,
anything
right?
good. It was like you guys didn't settle for like poor positioning. You just settled for anything that looked like an opportunity.
Mhm.
You know, to try to engage instead
Which
of being
was
engaged on,
you
and
in
that
mid.
just. Yeah, it wasn't even that, because Turtle, they saw me in mid, so they called to go in. Turtle went in on by
well,
gold.
the source
Mhm.
sending you guys
And then,
down,
you
that's
know,
why
it
nothing
just,
happens.
it wasn't
You
coordinated, there was no kind of
super far
follow-up.
behind all of us.
Yeah.
You're all-
You know,
you're all
and the
within
thing
throwing
also,
them
you know,
down
is like,
close enough still.
so
Yeah,
Merlin's
and
not
you
there,
dodge
he's
it.
in mid.
But
But, for the same token,
On her.
Merlin has two people on your team following him around.
Yeah.
You know, I had the solo laner, and I had
Tony.
Tony.
Did he
So
use his
that's
flicker
both
at
your
least?
team fight ults. You know, gone. Your execute and your setup, your initiation.
I'm replacing awards here and fire.
You know, so even
Tyron
though
did
kind of like
despawn.
right now the big key to our team fight is definitely the Merlin for sure. He's not there, but he's taking out two elements that kind of make your entire fight right now. Period.
Yeah.
I can get X here.
You know, not to mention you know that Humbots and Achilles together with that T1 up for the other team is gonna have a very hard time locking down or killing Merlin. There's not really anything there.
I
So
can back real quick to get XC. Be careful with Thor.
that to me, that fight is kind of like what really starts to cement you
He
guys like
started
really
pulling
starting to
Pyro,
fall
Merlin
behind.
is also there. I have my
They're
break
gonna,
up.
they're, gonna, they're gonna look to burn it. They're gonna look to burn it.
I'm trying.
Killing all you want, but do not step on my
I'm not
flower
there.
beds.
I know you're not
Churno's
there.
coming over.
I know his ult.
No, he's not.
He's ulted for the slow.
Yeah.
They know I'm gonna be late. Is that
Starting
Merlin?
to- That's his ult.
That's Merlin flicker. Thor's
Yeah, his-
ulting.
Thor's ulting.
Damn it.
The plant
Fuck.
is only as strong as its weakest branch. It seems ours was
So,
first clean.
this whole thing with the split pushing out the lane. Now, here's kind of where you have to look at it, where teams have different play styles. One, Chernobako is globally ult into the fight,
Mhm.
I got
or he
some
can
nobody,
affect the
I'm
fight with
ult.
his slow from where he is.
Go off.
Two, Dirt will do what he has to do late game. But
I'm a back.
kind of like the way our team operates is like, generally, if I'm ahead, right, we're gonna play through kind of that mage AoE team fight. You know, and I'm the
Yeah.
most farmed on the team right now. So me being in that team fight's very important.
Theo's like
You are the
giant
most farmed
focus
on your
almost-
team right now. So you really need to be in those team fights to even stand a chance.
Sure.
I mean, yeah, she's really.
You know, cause you're going into, you know, let's figure you're going into, you know, what, 24 minutes now,
Thor,
and
Ember.
you don't have, you know, like any AoE burst. You have like an Uller stun into an Uller 3-1.
Oh my god, dude.
That's like kind of like the follow up right now off of the
If
CC
Gab's
setup.
coming right.
Yeah.
There's, you know, like Stellar Burst into like Supernova, which is, you know, infinitely more and covers infinitely more space.
It's not the CC that's going, dude. It's the fact that I'm going in without, like, you know, I went in 4 people on my own. Like 2 people dead. That's not
Merlin's got a Magi's now.
Yeah, Alma's currently left. Yeah, Merlin's mid. He does have a Magi's.
Yep, on my way left.
He's alone here. I'm trying to.
Careful, we're not.
I got his hammer. Is his what?
Okay,
the
you
heck?
have an Alma incoming.
Fuck, I got
I just feel like
dude.
there's like a lot of fights going on
Probably
where you
the
guys
fall.
aren't together. You know, look where J-Pow is.
Yeah.
And
Okay,
look
he
where
still
you
is.
were. You weren't in the fight either, you know, and Drago's like
We still
trying
have
to
this
catch
one, so
Storhammer.
we'll have
You know, like,
They awarded
Yeah.
everything, dude.
it's just not gonna work. You got, again, like, it just comes down to
They're
patience,
currently on
patience,
fire.
patience.
I gotta get
You know, it's
as
kind of
far
like,
as I
it's
have.
pretty easy to kind of fuck with the
Come on,
team
man.
and just be like, you know,
I got
how
oh,
quick will they pull the
lucky
trigger,
guy.
you
Yeah,
know?
they're not
What do we need
committing,
to do
they're
to
not
make them
committing.
pull the trigger? Do it, do it, do it, do it. Until, you know, they do it, and
Thor's
then
looking for Thor and
that's
then
kind of like
Logan
a really
are
big
ready.
undoing. It's,
That's his
there has
hammer.
to be more patience.
Turner just took.
Merlin's looking at me.
Turner's ulting. Turner's ulting.
I'm looking at Thor.
An ally
I'm
has
trying
been
to-
slain. An enemy has been slain.
I'm trying to
Their
protect
fates
Drago
were
here.
entangled.
He's knocked up here.
Keep killing all you want, but do not step on my flower beds.
I don't know if I'm gonna be able to.
Keep killing all you want, but do
Tried to
not
run as
step on
long
my
as I
flower
could.
beds.
No one just split the team. I
Well,
went towards
I
tier
mean,
2 and left, and they went
It's
in
just
the jungle.
everything is just like kind of a, everything is just like kind of falling apart. Like, you know, like, you know, you still have like Aegis up, J-Pow still is old. It's just you guys are just not like, you guys are playing the lanes and you're playing the early game. You know, that's kind of what it's always been like a thing with you guys. Like, you guys are like working on the early game. You're getting better with the early game. You know, but you have to learn how to piece together the kind of pieces and how to win the late game. And
They might have all
They're
died.
back.
the early game, a lot of it's about taking, you know, opportunities and pushing advantages and building leads. But like the late game is about, you know, picking the right fights and making the right decisions, you know, and waiting for an opening that works for you. You know, don't fight, you know, on a front that's not gonna favor you. It just doesn't really make any sense.
So you mentioned having Aegis still up. Where would I have used it?
We might be able to.
I
do it.
honestly, at this,
Nah.
so at that point, you know, where you're kind of like, in situations like this where you're pretty, where you're in a kind of dealing with characters that burst,
We dropped it. We dropped
like
it. We can't-
Chernobog, Thor, Amma, even, and Merlin. You want, you can even, you can, like, a lot of people, a lot of very high-end players, they'll Aegis at the
Yeah,
start
they're gonna wait for
of when
Logan.
damage starts to come on them. Because, like, a lot of these characters can't stop their damage. Like, if you know that Merlin's combo is gonna hit you, you can start Aegising it at the beginning. If you know for sure you're gonna get hit. Especially if you know more, like, if you see Thor's going up and Thor's gonna land on you, you could, you could pre-Aegis it, like, right away as soon as you see the red, you know? Like, you have to, like,
I have all
be
my apples
preemptive, because, like, once that burst is down, you're gonna get the separator off,
They're-
regardless.
They're 5, right?
It's just like,
It's probably-
it's
it's
just
probably
like, you
good.
have to kind of also remember that you're pretty much the primary target at this point.
That's probably.
Humbots, like if Humbot's is
As
being
soon as-
pressured like he is right now,
Yeah, they're gonna seize it.
Humbot's defensively is a much less valuable character.
Go to solo. Go to solo.
Yeah.
So, he's not really gonna be able to do as much.
One guy is solo though.
Oh no.
They're left-
We got Ammo gonna
No, we saw
Here also, you have to be careful kind of going that far up to throw a stellar burst.
Solo side so you don't die.
Yes.
Because they
rather
always get
leave
blinked
the
down by
lane.
Geb.
Yeah.
So this is the
You know, like even if they have to
Yeah,
come
money
to the
wave and
wave a
right
bit,
now.
that's fine, you know, but Geb,
Watch
you
out.
can see Geb's looking for something.
Yeah.
She went straight on the Phoenix.
I couldn't get his,
Don't run out the Phoenix, man.
you got bitch over here?
I can
Bitch.
kill her.
I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. I'm jumping out of here.
Turtle up there.
Fuck,
Only
bro.
as strong
Yeah,
as its
he just went
weakest
4 on
branch.
us.
That's their frenzy at least.
I have Blink here, but I don't got anything really substantial. My ult is down.
Yeah.
I have a ward right here.
It's on Cherno.
Yeah, I got a
Like,
blink
just
here.
defend. Like, Merlin's not in there. Just. Ow.
Yeah, so, wait, these three are all like separated.
Yeah. I need to go reset real quick 'cause I got shot.
Go for it.
Let me reset.
So a big thing that you and Drago have to start kind of doing, and
These
this is
things, like, they're still on their own.
Opposite sides of the
They're just
Phoenix.
sitting around. Yeah.
no, well, that too, but just in general, is that you guys have to coordinate targets. When you play like this kind of
They're super low, they're
super
low.
shred burst kind of, you know, like
If you can kill
double
it- if you can
auto attackers,
turn it on and
Mhm.
kill 'em off, we shouldn't
you
do it.
guys need to coordinate and just nuke that same person at the same time.
I'm spawning it. I'm spawning
You
it
know.
too.
Yeah.
That's like a really
Okay, I'm going
important
back
thing.
for-
I
going
feel
back
like
for pin.
that's like one thing that we've never like
their
kind of ever had done, you know, with your guys' team, is that you and Drago like never coordinate abilities together.
Clear and left.
It's a third of my health for it, but Merlin Magi's is currently down.
And that's definitely, you know, like it's definitely hurting you guys a lot versus like these like more organized teams.
Yeah.
Because, you know, like if a tank goes in and a tank gets
They're
CC'd,
backing off. They're backing off.
you guys can definitely maybe probably kill them
I'll
if you
clear
guys are
this,
going on the same target, you know, versus, you know, whatever.
Yeah,
And then
like
the other
the-
thing is you guys can always
the
like to
fire
kind of
station.
help one another. Like if someone gets killed, the other one can go and help try to peel them out or whatever. That's pretty common too. Even if it's, you know, like you can put damage to the enemy backline, I personally feel that you're sometimes better off saving your own player with the damage if you have it,
Mhm.
you know, to then go in and kind of play a number advantage for an objective or something later. Now, there's going to be people who feel differently about that. There'll be some players who say, well, you know, I could put XYZ damage in and force them to reset, or I can kill one or two of them. You know, but there's going to be times where, you know, that's not really guaranteed or not always possible. So I think like playing it safe in that situation, I think is always better. Because, you know, damage can be peeled. You know, you might not have tons of it, but if you can kind of, you know, create space with damage or the threat of damage, it's definitely going to stop a lot of what people are looking to do. This game Drago also, I think he gets...
I pushed up. Right is pushed up pretty
I'm
far.
not sure if he gets
I'm
oboed
on-
this
I'm
game.
on
I
Merlin
don't think he
account right
does.
now. They're not on it.
But, you know, when you have, like, comps, you know, that have, like, a lot of kind of, like, those blinks, like the Geb and stuff, you know, oboe is, like, super valuable just to kind of
Just
make sure
keep
you can
it-
prevent as many
yeah.
blinks.
Abilities. I'm trying to see if I can catch the magic.
Gab's gonna be looking at Brent. Yeah, Gab's gonna be looking at Blink.
Got almost like pushing back.
We're
Yeah,
split.
separate,
We're like, yeah. Humbats and I are split up. They have a war plan.
Are we still contesting this?
Yeah, they're currently on
They're
fire.
on it, dude.
They've got a...
Merlin, okay. I'm gonna go in here, okay? I'm on the Thor. I don't know what's off here.
Is that a quarter? They dropped it. They dropped
They
it.
dropped it. Okay. I'm trying to get out of here. Throw.
I have beads.
A branch snapped from the tree of life.
Chernal is on me.
They're going to kill me.
Just run.
You guys also have to kind of discuss and have a plan for, like, you know, like, what's going to be the protocol, you know, when Thor ults, you know, what are we going to do? Because you just turn around and ran.
They're going to try to take
You know, like,
advantage here to
and
push back.
Drago's like, oh, well, I have beads, so I'm assuming that means he's going to kind of, you know, stand and fight if he has to. You know, it's just, like, very mixed, like, what the call should be on something like that.
Yeah.
You know, another god, for example, is like, you know, Humbot, where it's like, okay, well,
I can't
Humbot's
save
looking for
that.
Blank. It's like, okay, well, when he blinks in, what are we going to do? Are we going to turn and burn him? Are we going to look to kind of, you know, force him out immediately? Are we going to look to, you know, kind of just deal with it, go engage onto their back line, and then kind of see who lives and who does what? Like, what's the plan? And that's like kind of like a really important thing that, again, it requires coordination, and if you guys set up a plan, you know, everyone's got to buy in. They have to do what their job is.
Yeah, like,
But,
the thing is, I'm like,
it
I
definitely
wanna do
needs to
something
be
stop it,
implemented
but,
for
like,
sure.
Humbats cannot be the one to go in there to stop it. So I put myself in a position to see it, but then like.
No, I also have Blink, meaning I have instant access to the backline at basically any time.
Yeah.
So
and
does
like,
Thor,
if we needed to
though.
go in, we needed to go in. Like they all kind of got distracted there for a bit. They didn't know what to do. That was like a moment of like they were like, what the fuck, and then they dropped it, and like there was a moment of hesitation on their part, and I felt it. But I can't do anything as she can. Like at this point in the game, I'm just gonna get bursted down. And
You
like.
just stand near me and Shutter, because your setup is we're two ADCs. It doesn't matter if it's a tank or not. Knock up the Geb, get his Magi's. Your cooldown's up in 3 seconds. Knock him up again later.
That's 8, but...
They're pushing down mid. I do have a Blink. My stun's up in 4.
They have a lot of bubbles.
3.
They have, yeah, I can't.
There's
I
a
mean,
shit ton of bubbles.
Yeah,
Everybody
they've
has
got
a
3 bubbles. Or 2.
Achilles gonna get fucked here. I'm just gonna pop this bubble. I'm gonna. I got him here.
Land is only
Yeah.
a
Get the
stone
fucking
throw.
guy!
Oh my god. What was your reaction to that?
I don't remember actually.
I'm stunned here.
Caught out bad.
Double kill.
This fight was over the minute JPL got picked. Yeah,
Yeah.
fucking, I flickered and caught his fucking ult.
Fuck.
Yeah.
I mean, it was
Go on the fucking gap!
Go on the
it was
fucking
never a
gap.
general hesitation.
Look,
Okay.
I think
he
our
was
biggest,
alone,
like,
and I don't know.
L
Was that what
kinda,
made you
like,
mad,
gave you
Turtle?
the matchup
Well,
there,
that's
J-Pal. I
the
mean,
thing.
Achilles
Okay, like
is-
I was already upset that
yeah.
J-Pal was standing
that was
there,
like,
and I'm like,
that's
what the
kind
fuck
of,
are you
you can't
doing?
really make the
Like
disparity
J-Pal,
any
I think
bigger,
you're dead. I
but
don't
we
think
still
there's any way
kind
you're
of
getting
ended
out
up
of
losing
that.
a lot of pressure
And I was like,
early.
let's see if we can get a
and
pick
he, like I
here.
told you,
That
Like,
was
and
funny.
then Tony's
was
gonna
like
look at the
really
hum
fast.
bats. I was like, all
I
right,
told
I'm
you,
looking at the
our
hum
biggest,
bats. I turn
hurdle.
around, I
Our
don't
biggest
see
match
Jay
out
go
was
and I
win the
shoot
game
her
for Toby.
like
Yeah.
like in position to
Yeah.
first
So,
I
like,
like you guys were gonna siege your right hand side Phoenix, and it's like whatever.
I beat you by
But I
like
just
1
like
hour.
I heard go on the hum bats, and I went on the hum bats, and I don't see. I mean, not the hum bats. I go on the Geb.
Yeah,
Nobody's
but I
on
still
Geb,
have damage
even though we
weapons,
can't kill Geb anymore.
Too bad.
I'm sorry, but oh. I mean, granted, I'm like super aggressive, and I
honestly,
need
like,
to
you know, the point of the
stop.
game, we
Like
said we were doing well, we did well,
I
you
put
know,
I put
really
ourselves
put the
in
pressure on them, they
situations
really
where
didn't know
like
what to do.
we shouldn't
Yeah,
be.
you guys did very well
Or like
in that.
or that
early,
quick, or I need to be
everything
more
went to
elaborate
plan.
with like
I mean,
I need to
As
be
far
really
as the
communicating
game
more,
most
asking
mid
people what they
camps
want to
were getting
do,
Oracle.
because I kind of think, oh, we're doing this. What you don't know? No, 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 oh no, oh no, oh no. Oh, no.
Let's go to.
Alright,
Like 121.15.
121. Oh,
121.15.
Yeah, 121.15 is fine.
luckily shooter has me low, so. didn't
Are y'all
matter.
there?
I'm there.
Yep.
Alright, 3, 2, 1, start.
Yeah.
So I've told you before
Survive
that
is a
I
key
hate this
word.
Bancroft and to not build it on
Because
Freya,
I doubt I'm gonna win.
or
by
especially
five.
early. That
That
I would get the T1
This is like I
ring.
think this is the first one.
Okay,
I've only
No, you
done.
played Freya before.
That one I
He
did the
invaded my
T1 ring and I went
account.
into
Do keep in mind that I have no pressure here.
hastened ring.
Yeah, currently,
No, but that's
no eyes on
bad.
the
You
herd.
get.
Well, yeah. That's the one that you told me not to do.
You just want to start purple
Yeah,
screen.
but I think I gave you. I'm pretty
Oh,
sure I gave you a
okay, I was
build
gonna say I
for.
did that, but I didn't.
Okay.
That's what I figured might happen. I watched a game recently where
Maybe.
he did that.
Yes.
Go to his blue, go to his blue, go to his blue.
Oh,
Do not
yeah.
let him do that blue buff.
I already put like 15 views on this fucking
Just blue the fuck out of
video.
weapon.
I'm gonna try to get our red.
Why mine?
I look at everyone's usually what perspectives I have, but like the Twitch one's instance,
I
I
have
usually
the
look at that night usually.
Yeah.
We took his blue.
That's good.
He's in lane.
Turtle definitely just panicked.
Get the fucking gap.
I got our red.
Clip it.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Actually, no, we might need to install it. Actually,
I was like trying to level it up and use it at the same time. It's fucking. You can get these orders.
Don't you usually get the 3
Alright,
first
the
on
purple?
Athena?
you know, that wasn't all that bad.
Okay, well I guess you get your 1 first.
Well, I've
Always
lost
the one,
a lot
yeah.
of lost XP.
Goes through the wave, it's a slow, and if you can hit like the carry, you can do a
I got
ton of
less and
damage.
less, I think.
Yeah, but it can't like if you're using it for like a assist to clear.
I've taken 4 tower shots this dumb game.
They're missing in
It could be
mid.
blocked.
Well, it's
Right, you might just get it early gank.
yeah, but you can't really block that. You could
They're
block it, you
not
take a lot of
that.
damage, and it's a slow.
I got taunt here now.
I mean, the other thing too is like
Yeah, I know.
they have to walk to the front of the wave to block it. If they walk to the front of the wave to block it, I would hope they die for that.
No vision on QQ.
And like the 3 also, like a good team will just hit you and drag the minions out of the way.
He's 3. Be that a gap. Let them push this.
What the
way.
fuck is this? The 2 other people sign up for
Yeah,
the
he's
SOL?
backing here.
Okay.
He has no mana.
He's by himself in mid. Yeah, he's by himself in mid.
I'm gonna take totem here.
I'm not trying to
slow.
throw them in here. Okay. Ah, shit, dude.
They'll be walking
So
back
that's
to
his
lane
beat,
because
though.
he's getting full boots here.
What did he beat?
I'm expecting the wave to
He beat-
strip
he beats
through
you.
efficiently.
I didn't even notice him. Can we get there? Can we get that little red buff?
They're going. They're leaving. They're missing.
If
Careful
you
of
guys
red.
come over, we can contest.
I don't know what we can do. I don't. Yeah,
They're not on it yet.
They're not
They're not going for it. They're not going for it. I
They
can
just
do
got
this.
out of purple. It'll be back
Yeah.
in 5 minutes.
Okay. Yeah.
Let it go. Rotate
There's
over.
no.
No, I'm just taking
Who
that.
is mid? Who's mid?
Yeah.
Oh.
Fine. Let's blink it down on Jing Chen.
Yeah, it'll be back up at 5:10.
I'm gonna clear one more wave and then we're back.
Oh, instead of getting boots, Hercules Cloud Warrior's blessing there.
Missing left. They're probably at the purple.
Yeah, they are.
That feels like a weird rank.
I don't got cooldowns or anything. Just in the back.
This is like a weird what?
I don't know.
Ranking.
Oh yeah, that's what I said. Yeah.
He has a mana. Yeah, that doesn't mean. No, I can't do anything. I just can't do anything.
No, it's fine. That's fine. That's why I'm just here to hold your hand.
There's no one in mid.
T2 Boots is a good back, so you for
he's
mages.
he's
so you
still
want to try to
here.
clear this.
He's going to his purple right now with no mana.
Get that purple
He's
if you can
probably looking to
possibly
back.
get it, and then just kind of set up for the.
I'm getting. Oh shit.
You guys were on all different
That's
targets
cuckoo
there.
all.
Okay, that's
Ult.
5 here.
Yeah, that was not. There's no coordination at all. You guys have to call out who
He
you're
jumped over
going
the wall.
on. You guys might have like been able to force a relic or mate. Like I doubt you kill Xing Chen.
Cuckoo ulted in mid, right?
Maybe if I would have forced it in the
So,
back,
you
or
have
maybe
beads or
got
all
the
if you
the
Think that'd be-
certified beads.
can get him.
Want me to help you clear this?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. You gotta let me know because
Do you hit 5 off this wave in mid?
I should actually.
Okay.
If not, put in my back.
I don't think our
He doesn't-
purple's up, but we can
his beads
check
actually
it.
might be coming up, but he doesn't have
back
ult,
like
so.
around 5 minutes, but I can double check. I need to go back. I need to get.
Yeah, they're taking my blue here.
Can you
That's
keep
up.
your eyes on that?
I can guys in it.
I don't have mana.
Alright, at least we've regained control of those.
Yeah, I'm back. Yeah, I need to get boots and get like
I've
other.
got a shove.
And with them stealing our buff that many times, we're only down a little bit of gold. Actually, we're kind of up.
Totem cookie.
Mana.
I can come over to right. Cuckoo's rotating over.
Fucking missed, bro.
Cuckoo's rotating over, yeah.
Let's
Mm,
pause
left.
in 3.
Careful.
Hold on, I have to go fucking apparently answer a question from someone at the door. Back in a second.
I'm good. Yep.
My eyes itch. I have dry eyes right now. What do you think so far, shooter? Like. Shooter.
All right.
What are you drinking?
Drinking. I'm using a pressurized can of air.
Oh, okay. Sounded like you open like twist. I'm fat then. I open a twisted like a twisty cup.
Yeah.
Just open-
Something fizzy.
Yeah.
Almost. Not quite.
So I gotta be more patient. No, that's literally all I heard like these past 3 coaching sessions. Gotta be patient. Gotta be patient. Gotta be patient. I feel bad.
See, I'm wondering, I gotta ask him when he gets back if, like, if I'm rushing into things, or maybe I'm being too patient. Huh?
Oh yeah, it's because we're all like on different wavelengths. Like I feel like, but then again, that can be fixed with just me chilling and like, and then I want JPOW to initiate. I don't think JPOW's ever.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I agree.
But Desert made a good point. Like he's like, well, you don't want to be initiated on, so then you guys take like you guys, and I do because I don't want to be the one that gets initiated on because I'm not gonna be able to stop it.
Yeah.
Maybe I can. Like the second, like there was one game where I was shooting again, and I could have stopped the initiation, which is the only reason why they drafted the comp. It was to counter the Xingtian, and then get picks because the area is like rarely ulted. Like everybody else, I just kept getting ulted by Ares, and I was just depressed.
Wait, Ares?
Yeah, the third game.
Oh, okay. This game.
Yeah, no, this game I don't feel like I did anything. I was just never there. I was never where I needed to be. I was also depressed about that. They kept invading red, but I had to back, and you know I had ult, but the ult wasn't really used effectively. Which is why I don't play Athena. I don't know how to fucking use her ult.
Athena ult is. It's like the moment you use it on one person, someone else needs it like 2 seconds later out on the other side of the map.
Yeah, no, that's what always happens, and I'm just like, God. And then I hold it, and then it's like, oh shit, I could have ulted to you.
Yeah.
And then
I only
and then,
have
oh my God.
2 people, 2 guardians, diamond. I think it's Athena and Sylvanas. I'm pretty sure.
I like Sylvanas, but he gets caught
Yeah, Athena and Sylvanas. Yeah, that's true. That and like his wisps they don't do any damage.
He just has his one.
Yep.
Root.
That you might hit 2 people with. Might.
I might hit.
But the blink ult initiation on him is pretty nice.
Oh, it's
but
the
like you
best,
have to use him as well. I guess you don't have. I guess you could peel with it too. But
yeah, you could peel with it if people start diving in on you.
but it's a nice knock up. You know, it's a knock up. It's like the best CC in the game. So it's kind of like you have to use it to initiate. Kind of like Bacchus. You just kind of have to. No, I don't drink soda. I don't drink fizzy drink.
That's good.
Let's see, what would make a sound that I drink? Nothing. Oh. No, nothing.
Nothing. Just. Blick, blick, blick.
Yep. Let's see. Oh.
That could be anything.
Jalen texted me. Oh.
That was random as fuck. Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Alright, 3, 2, 1, start.
I don't know, JPOW, like,
How much gold do you guys have in Mord
Oh,
have?
no, I definitely didn't.
I have a
need that much.
lot, I think.
Should have just said.
I haven't looked.
Fuck.
And how much is like a lot?
I need like right now. I
had to beat. That's both the rolls.
Well, maybe I don't know. I forget how much like
Yeah, both.
everything is. I want to say
I
like
had to beat, but that's what
I don't know
they're
why,
missing
but
one after
33,000
missing
rings in my
Maker
head.
Oh, wow.
They're both back here.
You could buy some skins or something.
Yeah, I really should, shouldn't I?
I have no mana.
can't do these, so.
I have no mana to do these stuff over here. So I'm just going back if I can.
Do this way.
I'm surprised the game is like
Careful that they don't
done
take
so
this
well.
tower. I mean, they're going towards you. Careful.
With
look
no
around them all the way.
microtransactions at all.
Right? It's kind of crazy.
Backs.
You can't buy skins or anything.
Well, that's the thing. Like, you Like the way that I kind of like it is how like you have medium, light, and heavy armor. That's it. You have like different ways that it can look, but nothing changes anything.
Vision on mid.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Like the way that your armor looks doesn't, you know, it like,
Yeah.
whatever you buy, whatever way it looks, that's
Yeah.
cool.
Where
But
that wasn't BM.
it's in the end still heavy, light, and medium armor.
Hi, Jingtian.
I can't actually fight.
Same thing with the weapons, you know. You can change the way it looks. Just missing. Okay, no, never mind.
I'm assuming his teleport was up.
Yeah, he's
He's gonna
freezing
be
this
coming
wave over
back here
here.
with boots and likely also a glide shield or something like that. My boot just came up, so I'm going straight to it.
Good.
So there, you shouldn't really have banished him because your 2 was up.
Yeah.
No.
Well, I don't think. I mean, I could have instead of attacking him, attack the wave. I think that's probably what I should have done.
Well,
but,
I mean, you would have had
Yeah,
your
I might
hunters
jump to the wall
evolved
to the
already too,
minions.
and then you could have
They're going for
banished
red right now,
him
actually.
with this next pulse
They have
coming
no
up.
ult at
Yeah.
all.
Like it's just playing a power spec. It's a huge power spec for Frey. Because you have to remember why you don't build that
No.
Bancroft, besides for it just not being that good, is that early, is that your 2 is on a
Sure,
timer.
coming.
So you need attack
Yeah.
speed to get more
I'm here
off
with you.
of
Kill
it.
him. Yeah, that's him in the wall.
Okay, I'm on Daz here. Come here.
I'm whooping, 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 whooping.
They're super low. They're super low.
That beads.
They're good whoop.
Spread out a little bit.
No. Oh,
A
no.
couple
Whoa.
tornado hurts.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
the
did
tornado
300
just
damage to me.
Whipped my hip.
That's like a third of my health.
Ow.
I didn't even notice I got hit by the crystallized core.
Yeah, you call it natural.
Jeez.
Sacred Monkey did almost 300 damage.
4 kills, dude. Ouch.
You could have easily had 5 if he just let the tick go down.
We just gotta be. We gotta take a jump on the fights then. Like,
I think it's a pretty good idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, I
they
think
hit- they
Tony
hit
just
ulted
likes to
there.
play
They
very
used
aggressive.
everything. That was like perfect timing.
And like, that can work. It got the team's playstyle, but
Yeah.
it just never works with me.
Like I can't keep saying enough that like we're going in. If I'm going on Dez, like, whatever you guys have, just put it on Dez too.
Yeah, I literally couldn't get past
Jing Chen's looking at me.
combat changing.
Oh, he's looking at. Yeah, he's in here. Jing Chen, careful. I don't have an ult for 2. No ult for 2. Oh, you got your own buck coming.
You got 2 coming left.
Mm.
They're running over to the left. Please back off. Combats and Cuckoo. Backing in mid. Oh no.
you need me
This
to
guy's
open it?
waiting for me.
I'm dead.
Okay.
Christ, dude.
Yeah, there's nothing we can do.
A
Just
plant
get
is
farm.
only as strong as its weakest.
Our red's
branch.
coming up like right now.
It seems
Yeah, I'm heading
ours
over
was
there.
just.
I feel like he did nothing this goddamn game.
Trimog missing.
They use Kuko ult on me. And that's all I can say. Really.
Oh, we're
Yeah.
putting that car out there. I don't know what the hell you're gonna do there.
Careful, you get.
I can come in. Trimog might have ult. Yeah, he probably will. Yep, there it is.
Yep, I'm dead.
You have lost an ally, but give me a moment.
That's where he is.
No ice Cherno. Careful mid still. Could have 4 mid.
Hercules is currently on those back camps.
Let's try no, keep going.
He uses dash. He has really no ish mana.
There's no eyes on the. No eyes?
Yeah.
That's her called down.
Is Ben not playing Mordhau?
Nice.
Foe has withered down.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't. He used to play it. He actually saw me playing it, and he was asking about it too. He's like, "Anything changed?" I'm like, "Yeah."
Cuckoo's still missing.
I'm on him.
Oh god, I'm not there with you. I'm not there with you.
Is he good?
I don't have anything anymore.
Ah, bro.
What'd you ask me?
Is he good?
That was the most disrespectful shit.
Yeah, I'm back.
I
I
can't remember. Yeah,
Are you better than him?
I think so.
Actually,
I mean, I know we used to do like little
I'm backing Hercules.
we used to do little duels with like oh my god.
Okay, he's in mid.
What?
And-
Jalen just in the back talking like this weird hillbilly accent, saying these weird dumbass things.
Combats is in left jungle. They have a counter ward right here. Walking around, but our red's coming.
Yeah, we see little duels with
Yeah, they're
Kyle,
coming up
Ben,
for
and
that
I. I
counter,
think
so
maybe there's someone
All
else.
of us are there. We're not doing that.
Cuckoo's on mid, Inkchen's here.
I might have to give that extra one from
Oh.
There you go.
That's a lot of damage.
Yeah, that did hurt.
I'm dead.
Know only, but
I
gods
did.
My only
can stop
concern
your
is we
rampage.
all
The
knew
monkey
there was
hurts.
birds on the red, so why did we try to fight over and do
That's Jing 10 and Cuckoo.
Yeah, you got people headed towards you. You got like.
His 2 is down.
You're gonna get combat salted, I think.
Top, 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 top.
There's
Okay.
a sentry right there. I got
Yeah,
Herc right there.
Hercules
Let's
is
turn
back there.
backing.
Yeah,
I
Herc
got
is
it.
back.
Eternal, nice job.
Oh, Trino's coming to me.
I mean, it's the only person.
You're up in their territory. It's safe for him.
Yeah. I don't want to go on him. He's not that low.
Oh
No,
my
he
god.
doesn't know. He just saw me.
You got the move.
Damn it.
We do gold.
Alright.
Oh my god.
What's his face is in mid?
I think you go and take
Green
demonic
China
here
and
next.
Just say
or-
mid Merlin.
or
Yeah, I do.
Telecons. I get telecons before the
Let me
demonic.
see if I can get them to go on.
Yeah, I saw.
They're running over,
Remember
actually.
you
They're
told me.
running
Oh,
over.
actually, I haven't
To
on the
us?
card, but
Yeah, they jumped over.
Okay.
Jing 10 has no jumps.
Are we fighting here or no?
Yeah, they had no ult.
I
They had
do.
no ult.
I.
Just back.
Alright.
Okay, that's a good pick on Valve.
Oh my god.
And then,
I'm trying to get out, This ult is towards.
oh, nice. Good banish. Peg is really well this fight.
probably should have gone in, but
Mm-mm.
no.
Yeah, just smart to leave. I was waiting for you. But
Just slow him and be
and
done.
I didn't use that one on Turtle for a long
You got me
time,
up.
so I was
Thank
waiting
you
for
for
you to
that.
come around the corner.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Alright.
And then I just used it on her because I figured you weren't coming back.
That's one thing, sir. Something he's gotta live. Fuck.
She sacrificed, and I broke her back. I broke her back with the wind, with the Zephyr.
I go something.
Rearrange your intestines with
I didn't get hit by
Yeah,
I guess it
I
wins.
was in fire stance. I was super close.
I guess we just don't have the damage
Oh, okay, red's up. I'm gonna secure red.
What do you think Cuckoo 1 would feel like right
Oh
in your
shit.
back?
you should go that way.
Not too far away.
I die here.
I can whoop him.
I can.
This is a really bad play. I don't know. This so you troll here so hard. Too greedy.
Yeah, there's an open
Too
from
greedy. Everyone dies.
Elephant from. Oh, nice job. Now you're in danger.
He's worth so much more gold than I am.
I've always been contemplating. Like, I like the soul, and she's one of them, like a mage pick that I can do.
Yeah.
I haven't pulled up the run, but that's because I think you banned it this game.
I think it's one game where you ban. Cause
Yeah, because of all the knockups that we
we
had.
banned the Sobek game. We banned it.
Yeah, yeah.
When top played Sobek, we banned it because
But
it would have been really
he's worth so
strong.
much more
Yeah.
than I am.
They didn't even care about red.
I mean, like, and those are, you know, some actual mage DCs.
Focus
Yeah.
behind you, Desert. I mean,
But,
Tony.
I've always
Yeah,
been
really,
like,
1,000
because we always talk
percent.
about how Drago isn't too strong in the mages.
I mean, he's working on it, but some of it's like I'm tired of seeing this off.
Yeah.
A hook off is awful.
Mm-hmm.
I told him that. Like,
Oh fuck.
not everyone's
I'm
gonna be a
not
Thoth
over it.
I
player.
can't do. I don't know
Yeah.
what I can do to him.
You've known how many mid laners in your career? How many of them are Thoth players?
None.
For I mean, like, character's not for everyone. It's like Morgan. How many of them are actual
Yeah.
Morgan players? Probably none.
But yeah, like, so, like, and Turtle talked, like, asked you about it that one time,
Desmond.
asking, you know, if mages in the ADC role are kind of still a thing, and you said that they are in a sense. They're
Like,
kind
they,
of.
I didn't
they
think
can
he'd
be
run
put
into our
there, but
jungle,
like,
that was kinda
That was
Yeah.
I just,
weird.
you're not. I don't know. I feel like your team does well when you get ahead and you can rotate out. You're not really gonna be able to do that in a mage.
Yeah. But at the same time, it's like we don't really have
going
any
to
magical
Vampire
damage
right
at the
now,
end,
I'm
if
not really-
or any like sort of mage presence, you know. That's kind
Well,
of.
I mean, if he would play normal mages, I like a Cuckoo. Like, I don't know where this Cuckoo is. I keep telling him to
What's their
practice it.
frenzy?
Yeah.
Chrono's here,
Cuckoo,
man.
Poseidon, Isis, normal mages for normal people.
Like I said, we don't have
Yeah.
He literally takes my entire god pool and plays it.
They did use
Oracle's up.
frenzy.
Like Jean Kui.
Okay.
Mhm.
Just,
Who else do you know who plays Jean Kui, Thoth, and Morgan?
Yeah, I'm on my way.
I
I
I'm
have
at
a link.
engine 10.
You know, like where's Poseidon? Where's the before you start playing these gods that have
Cuckoo's right
unique
here.
play styles as mages? Where are the normal
Up here.
characters? You know, where's like the bread and butter gods?
People on me, go on someone.
Super
Like
low,
Poseidon
super low.
should not
No
be
bees on
that
you, Cuckoo.
that rough to play.
Turns coming on us.
That's some bots out there.
An
Oh,
ally
jeez,
has been
dude.
slain. A branch snapped from the tree of life.
I gotta get out. He
There's
hurts.
not a lot of
Oh my
talking
God.
going on.
Plant is only a
Hercules
small
hurts a lot.
branch.
Yeah.
It seems ours was just pruned.
But yeah, so like, I don't know. I think there was one game where I really wanted to go Poseidon, but I was kind of shut down on it.
I mean, like also like you don't
No, because he did it.
remember also if you pick Poseidon, Poseidon not only if he gets behind can't do anything, but he has a lot of bad matchups. Like if they pick Robin, if they pick like you know even if Daji's played correctly, Daji, you're fucked. Like there's nothing you can do. Like Robin's gonna stand your face all day, kill you, and then there's nothing you can do. Also like I don't know. I just don't really. I don't think you're gonna be able to hard carry as Poseidon. Like, when I
Yeah.
think of you, I think more of like.
Well, I guess what I need is like I just need to like what mages like do you think I could hard carry on besides the other ones that
Freya,
the ones that
Soul,
we know? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I mean those are really the ones that do that though.
We have vision on
Even
fire.
Merlin's not really a hard carry. You can, but it's not really what he does.
Yeah.
Oh, they just counter worded me.
You know, there really aren't many. If you like look at, there aren't really many hard carries in the whole game.
They're looking to come.
Like gods that can really hard carry a game.
faster than I can. Keep that in mind.
Yeah, Freya. I wouldn't Soul no.
Turner's coming up. I'm with you. Oh God.
Olaram, possibly, but probably not. So Kali Kronos is another one. Kali Kronos.
He got pulled for sure.
I guess the full build can carry a game, end game.
I don't think we can test.
But like gods that totally come online and just completely run everything. Morgan, I guess, could be considered like a pretty hard carry late game. But you know that's still kind of stretching it. So you're talking about maybe 4 or 5 gods the whole game that kind of just control the game. Smite's done a good job at kind of making sure there aren't really any gods that can kind of just come in there and just run everything. You know, but when I think of like a lot of what you play, I think a lot of like you know like.
They're like, this is what you get for cheating.
I mean, where's your Apollo been?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like I was, like I talked about this too. Like how I wanted to go back to the more, I don't know, just the other hunters besides Jingwei.
Well, Jingwei is the best god in the game, so.
Yeah, and I know that. But it's just like. I mean, like I can play like the Apollo. I can play a Rom. I can play a Hachi, a Huyi. I just don't feel like I'm ever really directed in that kind of way.
I mean, like the thing is like if you were playing a tournament for $10,000, are you gonna play Jingwei or are you gonna play Apollo? You know, you're gonna play the best character in the game and give your team the best chance on paper. Like, if you want to play something else, that's fine. It's just that like, I don't know. You can start doing that, but the problem is gonna be is you're constantly just gonna be in matchups against like that Freya or against that Jingwei that you just can't win. You know, like it's just like you know you could be Apollo, but Apollo loses to Jingwei, and Apollo really loses hard to Freya. You know, I mean, it's just like you know you can't outrange her, you can't get away from her. Even Hachi loses. Freya can be 2-3 levels down and Freya wins. You know, it's just even like Rama. Maybe, but Rama still loses to Freya. No doubt about it. Jingwei would beat him probably around like level 11, level 13. I think after that she started to just beat him and outscale him. It's just like Jingwei's just a broken character. That's just honest to God's truth, and so is Freya. So if you want to play with other gods, you can. I think Chernobog is a really good alternative because
Incredibly
he's
mechanical
good
in
with
there, and
global
then he gets 2
rotations,
levels up
really
at the end.
strong late game,
He's got a
and kind of
so he
like
is a
them,
speedy
he
player.
has like a not so amazing
Just
early
speed.
game. So there shouldn't be tons of pressure.
Freaking trolling.
I mean, you guys could always like put the Jingwei in mid. You guys could also run 2 physical hunters.
No matter what.
You
Mm.
know, you guys don't have to be afraid to
He's
actually
gonna
play
hear on
2
power right
hunters. You
now.
know, and I've been
Chernobog's in
saying
lab.
that.
Yeah, Humbats
Why
is
don't we
really
just get like one ability hunter and one other
Yeah.
hunter? You could put the
Just
Jingwei in mid
just
even.
Pyro. They know I'm here.
We saw
Yeah, they know
Dardes,
already
you know,
know
at
that.
Worlds
There's
play
no.
how many
Oh god,
times? Like,
there's 2 left.
granted, they lost,
I'm
you
happy.
know, Renegades lost, but they didn't lose because of the Jingwei
Hold on,
mid.
I'm running
Dardes
blue.
was
I'm
like
ready, dude.
fucking like maybe like 1-3 his worst game, and his best like 6-1 or 6-2 on it. Like, it's still fine to put her in mid and let Drago have her, and then you could play, you know, Apollo or Chernobog or someone more ability based like Cupid. Like,
Neat.
yeah, definitely.
Mm.
Uh,
I like a good
I mean,
neat.
run.
you guys have a
Phoenix,
lot of options. I
Phoenix.
just feel like you guys kind of like you guys are kind
Yeah,
of
who bats
being
that over?
like very traditional to a lot of the
This is a
roles,
fire
and then
only.
like
Sorry.
like I noticed when you
Screen
play
is gonna
Poseidon
rise and
in
drop.
ADC, we fixed it now, but you built
I'm
attack
getting
speed.
toxic.
Yeah.
Like you
Oh
you
god,
have to
that
you
kinda
you
worked.
have to just
Come on,
get
man.
off the
I,
constraints that all
there's
you
2
guys
left.
have of what your role stereotype is. Like
What?
PBM
I'm dead.
plays support much more like a backup jungler than he
It's
does
okay, Bancroft's dust.
as a traditional support like Turtle would.
Can I have push?
So, you know,
Everything.
you almost got away there.
Yeah.
A branch snapped
I got
Oh
Yeah, but
my god.
you know, so I just think that you guys. I mean, like, here's the thing. Like, I've posted
Yeah, no,
all
I'm
those
getting
new
used to it.
changes
I'm
that
going
have been
back
getting
to
put
my
out
five
there.
star.
You know, in your guys' community chat. I'm sure you guys have seen them or you look at them on your own or whatever. I mean, have you guys looked at those and thought about, you know, how that's going to affect your team in the
Cool
future?
heads,
Because I
alright.
mean, you know, like reviewing this game is good and all, you know, and coaching's
I mean,
important. But
when
I
we
mean,
used
part
to
of
just
coaching
start
also, like me and
against
Turtle do a lot. Like,
against you
you know,
guys, it'd be
have
so much worse.
discussions, look at the future, look at like changes, look at things from a
You
different
know,
perspective. Like, what are you gonna, what are you looking at in season 7? What are your thoughts on what's gonna change?
I'll be honest with you, Shooter, I think we're fucked.
Wait, hold on. I guess mute that.
It's gonna be a rough start into season 7 if like other teams already like have a good idea what they want to do. Like it's like
Well,
fuck.
so far we've only seen the conquest or the map changes really. Like that.
Well, explain some of the changes in Conquest.
Yeah. So like invade,
Yeah.
like if you read it,
Well, there's like the new camp. Well, yeah, the invade is they're trying to get rid of that, and I saw. Which I mean, that's just a meta to me. It's not really like
mean-
a issue.
I
Anyway.
mean, I mean, yeah, but also like dual lane is coming back, and I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like when every time I lane with you or with anybody, like I feel awkward just because I haven't been in it. Like I haven't been doing that. I just kind of start laying.
Oh. Well, see, that's something about like in ranked, you very rarely see an invade meta. Like it's
And
rare.
unless you're like playing at the highest MMR.
Yeah. Like so for the longest like the ranked games I've been playing, it's still a 2v2 in duo. Like for the good portion of the
Yeah.
game. So it's something weird to me. You can stay there as long as you want. As long as it's, you know, when their support leaves or if you feel like you need to, they're, you know, it's vice versa, they'll do the same thing. Even if it is like if like you leave first and they stay, you don't again you don't have to stay and hold my hand necessarily. Like I'll just play differently. It's something it's not different to me.
Well, no, that's fine, but like I'm gonna be staying there much more long because they added there's a new camp next to
Yeah, yeah, and that's completely fine. Yeah, you can stay there.
It's 2 camps.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
That's totally fine. You can stay there. Like I said, it's something weird to me. The only thing that's gonna, I guess, feel weird to me is, you know, it's not gonna be all solo farm all the time.
Tony, shut the fuck up, Jesus Christ.
What? Oh.
No, nothing. I was hearing muffled Tony.
What the hell? That was weird.
So, I think like that's like a big part of it for like adjustment like has to be, you know, that, you know, and you have to kind of like look at what's gonna happen. You know, there's gonna be more farm on the map. You know, mid and jungle are gonna have more farm. Being kind of farming in the jungle is gonna be a strategy that you can now use because of
That
the
camp.
because like the jungle, like I don't really know a game that kind of has something like that. I mean, I guess Paragon did. They had like a jungle shrine thing.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's kind of like that kind of thing. Um, so there has to be like a kind of I mean, it's just gonna be like there's gonna be a lot to check, and there's like mages, penetrations, and everything's getting
Yeah.
reworked.
Did that come out today? Or is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't looked at that one yet.
So that's gonna be like a big change. That I mean, I guess Drago is newer to mid, so it's not like it's
I
not
guess that'll
really
be a
like
big impact on him.
yeah. I mean, like it's not it's not like gonna be. I don't think it's as big of a deal for him as it is for someone who's been playing mid for a really long time and kind of set in like a certain way on how items and how numbers work. So hopefully, like I think that will kind of equalize a lot some of the problems that you guys are having in mid in terms of like mages and numbers, but you know, um, everything is still subject to change from Hyra, as they said. So they could change or revert some things or buff other things. Um, and then I think the question really comes down to is, like what are like you have to look into this meta and you have to understand that the late game is going to come quicker. So gods that are more passive generally, like in the jungle and mid, can be played more because there's more farm to get. Like there's like it's a lot harder to invade. So there's a lot more like that. Your left side mid camp on duo. I guess on duo the Gold Fury side mid camp
Hmm.
now has a wall
Yeah, there's got to
that
go all the
separates.
way through the gold tree to get through.
Yeah, like it doesn't go through to the Gold Fury. It goes through to the oracles.
Well, yeah,
So it
yeah.
go
So you had to
yeah
go through gold and oracles
yeah
to now go all the way
yeah
around.
yeah. So I mean, you could always just walk up too and just walk through like their
Yeah.
top left or their top right to go to red.
Hmm.
But
That's a dangerous path.
basically,
Really
yeah,
dangerous.
exactly. Like there's gonna be probably a much more centralized invade from mid, but that's probably not what's gonna happen. Like, so everything else is kind of focused like in that late game. But what you have to understand is that with so much more XP on the table in duo,
Ganks.
it's gonna be about early pressure because the more pressure you can generate early, the better chance you have to secure those four camps. You have the purple, you have purple XP, XP purple.
Yeah.
So whoever can secure those four camps, if you can secure those camps 4-0, that's gonna be a quick snowball, and that will open up paths for duo to invade red. So I think, from what I've seen, again, I have to look through numbers and reevaluate everything once I actually get hardcore like data in front of me. But what I think is gonna happen is it's gonna be high pressure duo lanes. So like Kumba, Xing Chen, these guys are not gonna go away
Yeah.
unless they're getting heavily nerfed. I think Surket is gonna kind of fall out a bit because she needs to be able to kind of ambush people, and like the fact that she'll be in the lane more can kind of definitely create some issues for her.
Yeah.
I think that guys like Horus and stuff though are still gonna kind of remain pretty strong and be kind of dominant in their own way. Um, uh, and you have to kind of remember now, there's gonna be a potentially, depending on how this jungle camp goes through, this new one, this jungle boss or whatever it is, that there might be a new style of jungling that we haven't seen in Smite, which is more like the passive AFK farming jungler. And we have to look at that decision of, hey, do we want a jungler like this, or is a jungler that's ganking all the time? Well, he's giving us team-wide benefits. That jungle doesn't seem to have an expiration timer on that.
Hmm.
Well, he can keep AFK farming. He can keep getting big. Then he can influence team fights. He can play like a Kali, not be seen for the first 4 levels. It's clearing out the jungle. You're gonna have junglers a lot more on those XP camps over there by duo now, because they have just said they're very hard to kill by yourself. Not to mention that jungle buffs and this should only be the purple. It should not affect these camps. Are
Harder.
essentially getting a 25% protection increase.
Yeah, it's
So
crazy.
again, it's a lot more kind of set to. Well, yeah, you can't do this alone anymore. And I do also think that I think some mid laners are gonna just be kind of fucked because it's gonna be very hard to clear your own red with a tougher buff. So we'll have to kind of see how that works out because currently almost every mid laner can clear it with just using one pot. With the wave spawning earlier though, you should have more time to get there and clear, mid, then go to the buff and clear it without really having any repercussions from it. But there's gonna be a lot of changes though, I think. And I do think we're gonna see a lot of value on kind of hunters being able to kind of play guys that will kind of snowball a game. I think that the goal kind of is for a hunter this season coming up would be
Hmm.
to build a lead, snowball a game, and take control before the enemy mid jungle comes online. Because with the amount of farm the mid and jungle are getting, you're gonna be able to see kind of characters that we haven't seen for a long time, kind of become mainstream. If everything kind of translates, from paper, onwards. Like we could see gods like um even someone I think a god like Zeus who can farm safer now and do what he needs to do safer, even come back, or if you want to play something uh Hell for example, more time for her to farm, more time for her to get online. She's already Hell's a really strange pick because there's people who know how good Hell is, and it's like people are just afraid of it and they're always ready to ban it, and there's people who just don't really value or understand what Hell does, and they just kind of leave her to just do whatever.
Yeah.
And I mean, like there's a long list of gods that I think are going to kind of fall to the wayside a bit, who are mages, because of the way that Spirit Magus and everything's getting changed. So I think that Drago needs to kind of, I think, work on these bread and butter characters that are always going to be somewhat decent, like the Poseidons and stuff. And I mean, it's gonna just depend. I just think that with like a 30-day change coming up, under 30 days almost now,
Hmm.
I don't know if you want to start, going into and picking up more mages now when, in like a full 2v2 lane. I
Hunters
don't
will
think.
get ahead.
Well, that's the thing. Like, yeah, I don't think you're not gonna want to be a mage because you're not gonna be able to compete or clear. And also, mages are like really easy to kill for guardians.
Yeah.
There's like, I think like one character that I think that will benefit from all this in the end. I think Kronos will kind of get like this will work really well for him in the end. I think so. If you want to practice a god that's gonna be, always kind of impactful in a meta where the late game comes quicker,
Mm.
then I think he's always a safe one to practice more so than a lot of other ones. Where's this jungler girl?
Messaged her like, "Happy New Year. How you feeling?" Silence. I'm just kind of like, I'm over it already. Oh my god.
I mean, what do you think? Then Seth, I mean, what do you what do you think that the team kind of needs to kind of work on then for like these kind of changes that are coming up?
Um. Well, gotta apply the changes that need to happen now to those. gonna come with the map changes. Hmm. Let's see. Okay. Anyway, so well, there's gonna be a
So
lot more coordination now, just because I can't do things on my own now. Well, not just me, but everyone can't do everything on their own. And we'll have to like have to be more reactive and flexible to things. Like since there's a lot more to, I guess, take from each other across especially dueling. There's a lot more to take from each side now. It's like, okay, so if they're gonna go take this from us, what can we, it's like if they got pressure on duo now, they go and take purple or red. And then it comes to season 7, if they get pressure on us, okay, they take the camp, the purple, or the red. Like what is it? And like while they're doing one, can we do another kind of thing? So it's like, I guess being flexible in that sense.
I just think like a lot of it also is gonna come down to like I think that like kind of being able to adapt is part of it, but I think more so like a problem is they're like it's just kind of like you're gonna have to just like you guys play the early game like pretty well, so I think that if you guys can kind of build a lead, there should be more stuff to build leads on. Like you should be able to kind of like get more gains out of like the early game, but
Just take it early game and run with it.
well, that's like the plan, and then obviously like I think the big goal for like this year for all of you guys kind of really has to be to become more patient and be ready to kind of play that mid late game, because that's like really what's hurting everyone.
Yeah. So when it comes to like being patient from me, am I too patient sometimes?
No, you push up really far a lot, like in that lane, like the lane you have to get used to stripping the wave and freezing it and not overextending, and then like a lot of times in team fights, like you have to wait for the front line to kind of call and make a decision. Like you can say, oh well, this person's out of position, can we do something? But you have to remember, even myself, like if you listen to me when we kind of call stuff, like unless we're in a team fight, and I know this person can die, like they're like in the back line caught out by themselves. When I say things, it's like a suggestion. Oh, can we go on this guy? You think we can get him? Because like I don't, like they know their CC, they know what's up, they know how quick they can get there. I can maybe they're having like really bad ping with this because they servers have been lately. That's totally possible, and they know that like they're gonna need a little bit more time to line up the ability. I'm not in their shoes. I have to assume that if they don't see what I see, then they're not in the same position that I am, or maybe I see something and they could see further up and they could see there's like a someone waiting or there's a trap, or
Yeah.
maybe their blink is down. Like you really have to rely on the front line to make calls. But the other thing is like there has to be like always like a question asked, or can we do this, or what do we have up? Can we go in here? And then like if the call, is yeah, we can go in, let's go in, let's do this, then that's the call. And and it's like, oh well, if I blink here, what do we have up, bro? Drago, stuff, what do you guys have, and everyone has to be engaged. And JPal has to just, be ready to kind of make um like meaningful rotations. And kind of like I think that's like another big thing is that he's working on like rotations and stuff, and sometimes like he'll rotate and we don't really do much.
Who's the on rotation?
Like J-Pow, like he'll rotate. We don't really do very much with
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
You know, and I think a lot of that kind of comes down to like, um, it's like 50% him and 50% kind of like you guys maybe are now at a discrepancy where you don't have a lead, you're behind, and he's not really aware of how big the lead could be or the deficit. And it's just kind of, again, it kind of just goes down to not, you know, relaying the information. But I think like the biggest thing for you is like, if you want to get to like that next tier of ADC, you have to become like harder to kill in the lane. You've got to be like more like you're warding and everything, but your wards don't really do anything for you because you're usually kind of so far up. When you get caught, there's no way you're getting out.
Yeah.
So that's like a really big thing. It's kind of like just developing like that kind of patience that like that you might want to push the wave up, so then you could just because you don't want to wait around or you don't want to do whatever, and you want to kind of look to rotate or whatever. But you know, you have to keep in mind that by doing that,
Yeah.
you know, you're just, you know, like if you do that enough times and you become a big enough problem, people are gonna be waiting for you.
I guess like the big thing I have with like usually like freezing the wave and stripping the wave, like every time that I've really attempted freezing the wave, it doesn't really work.
If you freeze it, you can freeze like right here where I'm watching this video. You can freeze it right now at your tower and have them come to you.
Is it like I guess when I say like I guess it's just my mindset when it comes to freezing. It's like the freezing is for me and me alone. It's as in like if they come up and they try to unfreeze it, then am the one who punishes them. Versus the idea of if I freeze it, my team is aware that I'm freezing it, and if he comes to try and unfreeze it, then my team can react.
I mean, yeah, but it's also like you're also like freezing it because like if you push the wave up too far, you're gonna die getting it. Like that's like an
Is it? But yeah,
automatic.
I think that's the thing I'm like confusing. Is it my team who's gonna like kill them for try to push up and unfreeze it, or is it
No,
me?
I mean it's more. I mean you can poke them out, but like if they come up and like you know they're like they're like at your tower like they are here. You know it's a 1-on-1 15 minutes into the game. You could say, oh, you know he's going to. You know, I'm just freezing here. You know I can't push up. Oh, he's coming up to clear. You know can we do something over here? You know and then you could do something. Sure, you can gank him. You know, but you're doing it more also to keep the wave in a safe neutral spot where you're not going to be punished for farming.
And when
That's more important.
if I were to freeze, am I still trying to get last hits, or do I like?
It all depends. Like, if you really don't want the wave to move at all, then no. But you can get last hits usually, yeah, and it shouldn't affect it that badly. Like after you freeze stuff for like a while, you'll kind of get into like a pretty good kind of understanding of how to do it and how the minions will move around. Because like being able to do it like in a high end setting is really important because it's like it's a really big safety valve for you.
Mm-hmm.
Like you being up here, it's just so dangerous. Like I hate clearing waves that far up. Like I know like you and like uh it's like there's a lot of ADCs like you, Adicula, who's like on Horizon's ADC now. Um Origin King, Cyborg, all of you guys like don't mind being at the tower line to clear it. It doesn't bother you.
Mm-hmm.
But like I hate being as far up because like I just know that like versus like what I'm used to playing against. And even Adicula, because Adicula still plays in the same kind of category of scrims, you're gonna die, you know, and he does die for doing it, you know. Some people just don't care, you know.
Yeah.
It's like okay, whatever. But like, you know, against a good ADC, you really can't be doing stuff like that. You can't give any
I'm gonna
excuse to give
pull
a
it
player
too.
that's just as good as you a lead. So
No eyes on
a lot of
There
it
is
is gonna be
last
patience,
week.
and with Turtle in the lane, it's gonna be kind of just
Started flames
coordinating
first.
it. It's pretty after you kind of get into the habit and kind of know
They're gonna
like
do my
how the wave's
purple.
gonna push
They're gonna do
and
my
where you can beat it
purple.
for it to push, it becomes pretty easy to kind of freeze.
We're going to red.
You know, and
They're
even
gonna.
if you're not
They're actually
freezing,
going
you
to
don't even
R.
have to
Careful
necessarily
mid.
freeze as long as you're waiting for him to clear and then clearing
Just keep
at
going.
a
Go,
safe
go
area.
fight at
But
their
when you do
blue.
that, you're gonna that guy's gonna rotate out
There
first.
you go.
Yeah.
So like there are like a lot of like
I
very high
hate
level teams, you know, like they'll try not to take towers right away,
I don't know
so
what
the
we did
wave
wrong
doesn't
in
get too out of
but I
hand
know for sure we did something wrong in mid. We should have been
and
there
wind
from
up, you know, back at their T2.
Go get that other side. Clear the mid. Hurry, 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 hurry.
'Cause, like there are
See,
definitely
these
some
things right
characters,
here
where
are
you
not
can
No
go
eyes
and
on Norman still.
hurting me a
They're
lot.
gonna
good
go for my
ADCs
purple
will let
now.
you clear, and they'll just let the wave go all the way back, and they'll freeze it at their T2, and then you're
Careful, mid.
screwed.
Mhm.
Just don't. Yeah, I believe.
But with the 2v2 coming back, all that should be harder. Freezing, all
Ares
that.
isn't here.
And if you guys get into a
Oh, okay.
situation where you're like in a
Morgan's walking you,
2v1, then you guys should be freezing. Instinctively. You stand there,
Because he
freeze them,
can't.
and
Ares
He's
going to you,
most
Turtle. Ares is
expected
going to you.
to.
yeah, and then Turtle can just, like, if he goes to come up, Turtle can just go and walk him off.
two.
Like, he's gonna back up.
Jingwei might be going too.
I'm gone. I'm back in mid.
They're on oracles.
Yeah.
Doesn't freezing kind of also almost like invite their jungler or
Yeah, you're
their
definitely
support?
gonna draw attention to yourself.
Yeah.
And that's fine, if you have the vision and you have the wards, but like either way,
Okay.
you'd rather draw that jungler over knowing that you're doing it and knowing why and how you're doing it than have him just
Morgan's
come up and
backing, so you're not
gank
gonna
you
have
by
back
their
up.
purple buff.
I can meet you
So
up.
freezing is usually only like you
Ares
do
is
it when
walking
you're
over.
ahead or you have pressure, and it's not the other
No,
way
no.
around.
Also, when you're really far behind, you also want to freeze.
Morgan's
You
gonna
want to
be there,
deny.
though.
It's just all you're doing is denying farm.
When he was doing it, I wasn't even doing it.
Like,
Can't you just get even more out pressured? Like if you try to freeze at your tower line, they just clear your wave and it goes into the tower or something like that.
What?
I mean, like,
He's just doing.
I mean,
this
like that could
Red's
happen, but a
coming
lot of time when you're gonna freeze from behind, you're freezing when they're not in the
I'm
lane.
coming to you, Tony.
He jumped
Oh,
away.
and that's just to keep the XP on your side. You keep yourself safe.
Careful.
His chains are
Yeah, and that's why you'll see Cyborg when he gets behind.
Got him.
Cyborg has a really bad habit of,
This is done.
like, he'll be, 1-0, then he'll go 1-1, then 1-2, and then almost 9 out of 10 times that 1-2 will turn to like 1-7. Because he'll just
Yeah.
keep pushing it.
Hey, but the
You have to, and that's like a way to stop that from happening. All it takes is a little, it just takes 10 seconds of patience. That's really all it is.
Jingwei back. Jingwei
You
back.
get things, usually going back in your favor, how they should be going.
Yeah.
Ow.
You like whenever you're behind and you're freezing, you have more safe wards. Well, you have safe wards if you're behind anyway.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, you have to kind of like,
Red is
or you can
up.
even have a neutral
Red is
ward
open.
to kind of see like where the jungle's gonna cross over. If you have vision in mid too, like let's say you have good control over your jungle, like bottom right is warded, like in the situation right here. You'll know where that jungler's gonna start his rotation from, and you should have a general idea of where he's gonna come from. Because obviously he wants to get to you, but he doesn't want to get picked up by the wave before he gets to you.
Morgan's
So
going
he's usually gonna come
Jingwei's
low.
gonna come in. Jingwei's gonna come in. Just get out. Just get out.
He can't really wrap high. Or he can kind of like sit like by the opening in the middle of the lane. Have his ADC walk up. You guys fight a little bit. The wave he lets you clear. The minions push up. When you come up to go kind of box him, then you'll get ganked. So it's like if the thing about freezing, like for the benefits, like it definitely does create
He
kind of
blinked
new
on me and
scenarios
I
where it could
missed
definitely
everything.
lead to fights. But a
He
lot of it
blinked.
is like it's kind of it's pretty much like a rock paper scissors scenario. Only generally 2 or 3 options come out. This is why Jingwei is like so broken. Just this whole thing right here. Like, basically you kind of have like you have scenario 1 where you freeze them, they can't contest you, they leave the lane and they do whatever. Scenario 2 is they do contest you, you're ahead, you can zone them off from the farm,
Jingwei
you can
missing
kill
right.
them,
Careful
or
mid.
force them
Jingwei
back to
missing right.
base. Push the wave, rotate.
I'm on
Or scenario 3,
Jingwei might be
you
coming
do that,
mid.
the jungler comes and ganks you and they
Expect
kill you.
Jingwei.
Or scenario 4, your jungler ganks and kills him. Like that's it.
My bad.
Like it's very easy. Like those are the only outcomes that can happen.
I think if
Yeah.
you turn
So you're going into a situation knowing all the outcomes. And there's very few smite situations that you actually can go into and know all the outcomes of what can happen. So that's partly why, if you notice, pros love to freeze, because it's a situation that's familiar and you know the outcomes. Versus,
I'm running straight to our
the unknown of pushing. It's always the unknown. Are they gonna come from your purple, go all the way down the lane at you? Are they gonna cut you off in the jungle? And then if you die there, did you just make your team lose Gold Fury? Did you maybe cost your team an Athena ult or a Janus ult, to kind of help you, and you died anyway? Or like you got back a tower safely, but now your tower's being sieged and you're low HP. You've been there 1,000 times. Like, what are you gonna do? So
Bravo, bro.
there's like it's like a lot. That's like a really big thing from that I really want to kind of like push today. That's like the big kind of lesson, definitely. Besides,
Blues back up.
we went over like being patient in team fights, coordinating with Drago. The big thing is definitely like
Bad at laning.
freezing and kind of just learning the lane scenarios. Just learning kind of like the ebb and flow of the lane.
Oh, wait, Morgan's
Like
speeds are down, right? Like,
it's like the same thing with Mordhau. Like you have to know
Jingwei back, careful
like
mid.
every single fight and every single
Can we fight
kind of
here? Can we fight here?
I'm
matchup
here, I'm
between
here, I'm
two
here, I'm
weapons
here.
and armors
Can we kill Ares?
has like an ebb and flow and a feel to
I don't
it.
know where anybody is.
You know, like there's certain weapons, kind of like an Evening Star, that you can kind of almost throw over their guard and hit them.
Jingwei's here.
You know, so when you're kind of
She's going
dealing
on,
with
she's
that kind of character, you know if he's gonna do like an overhead and he's kind of looking up
Thank you,
and
guys.
not, you know, straight at you, he's probably gonna try to swing over you and hit you in the back of your leg. So you kind of want to make sure you're blocking left or whatever side he's kind of throwing it over your shoulder. You know, versus like if he's just swinging it at you, it's just a normal parry. You know, and kind of like, you know, if you're gonna chamber, you gotta make sure that, you know, if you're gonna have a chamber battle with someone, that your stamina, it's just your weapon is gonna use less stamina on a chamber than theirs is. You know, because otherwise you're gonna lose that, you're gonna get disarmed. Yeah. So like, you know, like it's just, you know, it's like the same thing, you know, but like in Mordhau, things are much more concrete. You walk in, you get ganked, you die, whatever. But if you're in a 1v1, their weapon does A, B, and C, and like,
I'm the same level.
you know, at the very highest level, their weapon can do this. You know, like maybe this wild hander could drag really hard, and has such a long swing that if you block a little too early, you're gonna get hit at the end of your block before the hit even gets to you. You know. And that's something that you know, though. You know, against Smite, like, you don't know anything when you go in. You don't know where they're waiting for you if you have no vision. You don't know anything. And that's what kind of makes kind of, like, controlling situations that you can know, you know, all the more important. You know, and again, you know, another situation that you know, like, on defense, you're getting siege. The one thing that you know is they're gonna want to split you off, and they're going to want to get your zoning ults, like your Moja ults, Geb ults, Darkest of Nights, Humbot's ult. They're gonna want to get those ults out, reset, and then come back in for the real siege.
Jingwei missing, careful.
You know, that's a
Careful. Jingwei
definite.
might come that
Any
way, guys.
really
Jingwei
great
might fly
team's
that way.
gonna do that. They're gonna want to split you up. They're gonna send their solo or their ADC. Maybe if it's Morgan, they're gonna send her whatever role she's playing. You know, they're gonna want to divide and conquer you. They're gonna want to use their leads to force 1v1 to create advantages. You know, but like again, those are two things where you know what they want to do. You know, like and then with Thana, you know Thana wants to be aggressive. You know he has to snowball the game. You know, and that's like three definites, you know, that you could definitely say like what they're planning on doing, what they want to do. You can look at their draft and know what their draft wants to do. You know what their draft does. It's static. You know, it's static just like, you know, those Mordhau weapons are. This weapon can reach over my guard. Well, that god has the ability to do this in a team fight. But how they're going to execute it, that you cannot, you have no way to know. There's infinite number of ways they can try to execute that comp. You know, but that guy can only drag that longsword so many different ways, or that weapon can only do so much against your shield. You know, so that's kind of like really where the lesson comes into is like the situations you can control in Smite. Learn as much as you can and practice as much as you can, because like if you know more outcomes and you understand more and you're more true to kind of like the basics of what needs to be done to kind of put the cards in your favor, you have a better chance of winning. You know, granted, there's gonna be times where obviously,
Jingwei's right here.
you know, you guys use Darkest of Night, you know, on the actual siege, you do everything right, and Kikoken throws his ult over a wall and kills 3 of you. It's gonna happen. There's nothing you can do about it. It's gonna happen every now and then. You do everything right. You blind them. You grab their front line. You Geb ult them, and you still lose. You know, but you know that's always kind of a risk you take when you're playing against those kind of game-ending characters. You know, Kikoken, Thoth, Janus are all like 3 good examples of. No matter how bad that player is, I say it all the time. Eventually, they're gonna hit an ult that's gonna change the game if the game goes on long enough. It's just RNG. You know,
Blink down
if
on
Janus
Ares.
throws his ult in the direction
Okay,
of a
was
team
that his
fight,
ult down too? Did he turn
you know, like
It's on.
Cyborg does
He
every
turned
5
on.
seconds,
He turned
you
on.
know, for
He turned
years
on.
I've watched him. I used to play the character all the time. Eventually he'll have a Twitch clip.
Yeah.
It might take, you know, 2 months in between, but he'll eventually get it. Yeah, and it's just how it works, you know. So that's another thing you also got to take into account, you know,
Let's go to our purple.
that there are going to be situations where
Look at timer on the red though. It's freaking amazing.
like their comp is kind of on a your comp's kind of on a time limit against theirs because they might have something that potentially, if executed correctly one time, could be game ending. You know, like Cuckoo with Humbots together, you know.
Yeah.
All it takes is for them to execute that together one time correctly in the late game and they can end it. So,
Oh, they're looking at you.
Jingle
oh,
is gonna
that's
come,
just like a
Jingle is
really
gonna
kind of,
But they're looking at you.
you know, like I said, I know there was a good amount of kind of breakdown we went through
I'm here at
for
red.
the games
I
that we
should be here at
watched,
red.
but like the big thing kind of really is like,
I'm looking at
you know, like just think
There's
of
a ward right
just
here.
think things out a little bit. You know, be patient. Think of the scenarios. You know, like you're at the Gold Fury. Merlin's in mid. You know, what can Merlin do? What does Merlin want to do? Well, Merlin's in mid
There
by
is a ward
himself
right
by
here.
his tower.
Oh, God.
So he's defensively positioned.
I have all.
Merlin can't 1v1 Humbot. Merlin definitely can't 1v2
I'm going back
Humbots
right.
and
Tier
Achilles.
7.
So Merlin's there because he's standing there
Alright, my bad.
purposely,
Oh, that
and
was
he's just watching them because he knows that they're gonna go to him.
Morgan's invis in tower
Yeah.
line.
You know, like you're not watching Merlin. You're exactly where Merlin wants you to be. Because at the end of the day, there's 2 bodies standing there for
You
1.
have left there.
And Humbots has to ult, he has to 3, he has to teleport, he
Oh,
has
you
to
got right.
2, then he can
Jingle's
jump
heading
in,
that
he can
way.
do some auto attacks.
I'm back.
Achilles has
Way.
to blink, 2, 3, 3. Maybe he has enough to ult then, maybe some autos.
getting
All
oracles right
Merlin
now.
does is walk
I have
over,
back.
throw
I
2
have back.
abilities,
I have a-
push 4, throw 2 more, and the time that Humbots uses his 3, teleports to it,
There's
ults,
still a ward right here.
Merlin's already done everything he's gonna do that team fight.
Okay, there's wards here and here. They have
You
oracles.
see what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, those are all the kind of
Yeah,
things
but
that you guys had to
you
start
don't-
thinking about.
He's in front of me.
You know, it's like,
I forgot you had it. My bad.
oh well, you know, it's like oh well, you know, I have Merlin here with me. It's like, well, that's good, you know, but
If you commit 2 minutes.
you know, does your character need to be able to initiate with an advantage? You know, does your character need to not be seen when they go in? You know, and if they do, and the other thing is something with Morgan. You know, Morgan kind of is so good
Get
because
Give me a moment.
she's
Jingwei flew in
pretty
there,
hard
I
to
can't
track
get
down
to you.
early and kill. But in that late game,
Plant is only as
she
strong
can,
as its weakest
like, as long as she goes in,
I had a big ult.
gets actives, you know, gets a kill, or lowers the front line to almost dead on both sides, then gets her ult off, maybe hurts some other people, gets another relic, or kills someone, that's fine. That's all she's gonna do. That's all she needs to do. So she gets that done. She's accomplished her objective. Her surviving is a bonus. At that point, you know, she's not always gonna live.
Can't get it.
Mhm.
You know, it's like the same thing with
an injured.
Your time to shine.
You know, like Hell.
Gold from them. Get gold.
If Hell is allowed to
got it.
survive the team fight,
You got-
that
you got
team
ult
will
in 2
win.
seconds.
Yeah, just come
If
back.
Hell
Oh, yeah,
dies,
I'll
then
use the-
then
you just leave the ward.
probably like, depending on when and how she dies in the fight, you know, you're probably gonna win that team fight. You know, it's a definite. You know, if you let Hell get online, Hell's probably gonna carry the game,
Hey, but he tried,
unless you
right?
kind of take extraordinary measures to stop her.
We did.
Which usually
things
involves
right.
2 or 3 people adjusting their builds to deal with Hell. You know, popping the upgraded Onks at the right time, getting 2 if you need to get them, and making sure that you're able to kind of handle her immediately.
Just the lead got a little bit crippling and so.
Since my job is to run at.
You know, so I mean, you two are, you know, Turtle, you're like the captain, you're always here, you're always trying to learn,
Morgan's
and
invis top left.
you've been doing this,
Not
like,
good.
even longer than Jape has been doing this stuff, so I expect, you know, like, the 2 of you,
Go away.
you know, should be able to kind of, you know, comprehend, like, what I'm saying, and start to kind of, you know, applying it to, like, what you guys want to go and do, because,
Watch from you.
like, you know, like, 99% of teams don't do any of this stuff, so, if you can do it, it's just another way to just kind of mitigate, you know, problems that you guys are having.
We might be able to because we're kind of.
You know, like you don't have to be the greatest team that does everything the best. If the way you play is better, if you play that style better than anyone else, that style naturally is gonna have advantages or disadvantages versus other teams. but you can make up those
They're gonna go
disadvantages
for
by
it.
kind of being a smarter team
No,
overall.
Shutter's
They might be
beat
better than us mechanically. If we take a straight on team fight, we'll never
I
beat
hear
them.
Shutter.
But we can outthink them.
You
We
also
know
have
what they're
teammate
gonna
killer.
do. We know that A and B, and we know that we have the ability to kind of play them around the map because
Watch out, watch out.
they're a gullible team.
Back off.
This guy's a little bit ahead.
You know,
of
then
me.
you just found your answer.
A little bit.
Yeah, he's
So
Like,
like
no vision.
a lot of it really is a
Well,
mental
I
game, you
yeah,
know,
I
and
think
it really isn't that different, you know, from Mordhau. You know, it's
Oh,
like
I
if
meant
you
on
know
Invis.
that
He went Invis.
once Turtle starts screaming, she's gonna start fucking,
I want to get a break, but they're like,
you know, running at
One's
you,
behind me.
fucking, and swinging frantically and
This is gonna
S-stocking
we're
you
like,
and
we're
trying
like
to
two
stab
seconds
you
out.
over and over and over again. That once she gets tilted, it becomes a lot easier to beat her.
how the fuck did he get into? Oh, because they go through walls. I don't know.
And if you start like yelling at her, you know, like riling her up, she becomes
do
like
we?
even more like unfocused.
No, I'm sitting on Warden right now.
There's really no need to follow
Yeah.
them though. Like, they're
I'm
gonna
just
grab
going
you.
safely back to right.
Can we just go rotate down?
I call her a heathen and I chase her.
Yeah, he's like, you heathen! You must repent! And I'm just like, ah! I just get smacked in the face with the
You
ball.
got him,
It's like,
Toby.
He uses
and it's
ult.
like every 2 seconds, too. Like, I walk in and I just die. And
Toby
that's
doesn't
like
kill.
late at night. But, like, I think that's, like, what you're saying, like, I understand, and I say this a lot. Like, I have, I try to think about it as, like, we're playing the game, and I guess, I don't know how to, I guess I just don't know how to put what I'm thinking in words. So, you know, in my head, I saw you and like that thing in mid, right? And I want to take the fight as soon as possible. But I don't know how to plan things ahead of time. I saw an opportunity, but my team wasn't in position to really do much about the opportunity that I saw. Like referring to that game one where you were Merlin,
Yeah.
and I leaped in. I'm like, okay, Merlin can't do his damage, and we can get everybody here. We could, you know, I wanted to take the 4v5. I think I just saw only Valve and Cherno there, so I was like, okay, so this should be good. You know, I didn't know where Alma was, but she still wasn't on the map, and we had good world control. But like that's like a thing that I saw, and most of the times I don't know how to like talk things out, and I because I'm always very frantic, and that's like my biggest flaw as a player is that once I start getting uh
Worked up.
I get worked up. There you go. That's actually I get worked up really quickly. And once I get worked up, I don't know how to like dial it down. You know, because it just keeps going up and up and up and up and up and up, and it just gets worse. You know.
I mean, a lot of the time, a lot of these just come through like experiencing it and just playing it. You know, I don't. I mean, I know tons of players that have played competitive, and a lot of them, you know, they might be on good teams now, but they spent years just grinding through, you know, teams that weren't that good or not that organized. You know, and they had to learn these scenarios. You know, you guys are still learning the scenario, so you can't really expect to go out there and win. You know, I think that I had a very kind of unique kind of career compared, I think, to a lot of people in Smite so far. That I've never been on a losing team. You know, every team I've ever been on is definitely first division or its area or what would scrim us. We've always been a dramatically winning team, like not even close to even, like win games by a lot. Um, so, but for most people, it's kind of like, you know, I don't think you didn't know him back then, Turtle, but like there was a point where I think Cyborg was on like 11 teams like in a year.
Oh my god. Probably one of mine included.
Yeah. Like Cyborg literally like I had met him and I was coaching like Seth's other team, and then like me and Cyborg got into an argument, and then from like that period on, like Seth and them like played competitive for a bit, and then like they stopped playing because like the mid laner wound up like I really don't know. Like he just had like a lot of complaints, and like Panda's always kind of Panda's just sketchy. I mean, I know people like still play with him and everything I know and act like whatever, but like I don't know. He treated Kyle really bad for a long time, and then he kind of like ghosted him, and then he would like complain to me and not talk to Seth. Like there was a lot of like sketchy shit And I told Pan, I'm like, if you don't want to play anymore, just don't play. I'm like, but don't. I'm like, I don't really know. Like, you're not accomplishing anything by doing what you're doing. Just period. And he hasn't played competitive ever since. So I guess he took the advice. But like, it's kind of like, so Seth wound up retiring for a while, played with me, and then wound up retiring. And then Kyle left for a bit. And then during that period, Cyborg was on like a new team every week and a half. And it was just kind of like, and that was like his kind of journey or his kind of growth as a player. Like, it doesn't have to be that painful, but when you kind of refuse to see what's in front of you, it's gonna be that bad. Like, you have to understand that, if you're constantly changing rosters or you're constantly, changing teams or losing scrim partners, like, you have to look at what the constant is. You're the one on 5 different teams. You're the problem. Because either you're not willing to work things out with your teammates and you're a tough teammate to deal with, or you're not doing well and teams won't stay together. Or you're playing in a way that's not complementing your team and you're just going to become a problem. And like, I don't think that we have like that kind of problem here. We're just like learning and kind of putting things into our book of tricks. But the quickest way to get the book done, obviously, is to read the book as much as possible. So, the more and more you guys scrim, the more you're gonna kind of obviously just benefit from it, and the more kind of coaching, the more discussion, because it's not, Smite's not League of Legends. In League, you could find a lot of the basics of coaching written down for you to look over and review. Smite's not big enough; it doesn't exist. League has many, many, many professional level coaches that coach at all different levels. Like, if you were to find like the equivalent of like the Smite Little League for League, that guy is probably run by an org. That owner, that head admin, that head coach is probably salaried, well respected, probably a top 200 player in the world or a very high level Masters player, very well respected coach with a long resume, and that man could give you probably articles and books and theses, I'm sure, have been written on the game of everything about coaching and how to learn the game competitive. But that doesn't exist in Smite. So we have to just do it, the way they did it and build up all those resources. Maybe like one day there will be a situation where I can kind of sit down and create, like a PDF that we can kind of eventually kind of, share to other coaches and stuff, like, hey, we're putting this together, for whatever it is, like 25, 40, 50 bucks. And here's kind of like 200 pages on how to start to be a Smite coach. Kind of like how League does it, and like, here's how to do it, because we need more coaches in Smite. We need more stuff, we need more everything. But people have to, like, Smite is like, this is a very important season for Smite. Things are not looking great for the Pro League. The orgs are retarded. Like, they're scummy. And Hi-Rez has not passed legislation yet. I'm hoping there'll be some kind of resolution by the mid-season. They're doing a great things for us, though, in the amateur scene. So, for us, it looks great. For SPL, not so much. But Obey starts in a month. The Challenger Combine Cup, whatever the fuck you want to call it, for OCL, starts in like a week on Sundays, which you guys should be entering in and playing early in the afternoon.
What's that?
It's like it's like Combine. So first you play for like the day. You play like in a long tournament.
Oh yeah, I saw that post actually.
Yeah, so you guys should be entering that. Just see how you do. And it's like, I don't know, the seeding is like randomized or it's not hard seeded. So, you guys can play against fucking, I don't know, Baskin and his best friends the first time if they were to enter it. And then next week you play against, Infamous and the Golden Warriors of Doom or whatever, and just destroy them. So, it's just an experience. It's just, and if you do get far enough in, it's just building stamina and mental toughness. I think that's a big problem, is you guys mentally alive. You guys are not kind of tough or built up. Especially you, Turtle. Like, once the cracks start, the whole thing just shatters. And it culminates to, get the fucking Geb! Or it culminates to, okay, Turtle, we're going to play Mordhau now. You've played enough Smite in the last 2 days. Get off. you know, and granted, there always should be someone who should be watching over and saying, okay, well, you've done that enough. You're done. You know, let's play something else. You're doing too much. You're gonna fucking just do more harm than good at this point. You know, and you have to realize that most communities don't have people like that who are gonna say, okay, well, you're done. You know, I don't know what you're doing, but you're not playing Smite. And if you're playing Smite, we're all telling you as a team and as a community that we don't want you playing right now. Go do something else because it's not good for your mental health and it's not good for anyone here. You know, people don't do that in other places.
Look into
You know, so we have to take advantage of the tools that are available here. You know, for a lot of that kind of stuff. You know, you can have a discussion with a lot of people here who've been playing competitive for a very long time, or people who, again, like Dirt, who have not been playing for a long time, but have had amazing rookie years or great, you know, like successes, you know, and Dirt is a player who goes through ups and downs. Like last week was a down. When we played you guys, it was a down. He's just not been having the best week and a half. You know, so if you are a slump player who goes into highs and lows, he can be someone to talk to kind of try to work with that better than I could. Or just kind of talk to him kind of what he does, maybe how he gets out of it, how that works for him. Because honestly, I don't have that kind of issue. I just go out and I just play. You know, I don't really look at it as like a slump or a high. I just do what I'm supposed to do. I granted I don't ever have games where I'm like 0 and 50. You know, if I'm like 1-8, 1-9 to scrim, whatever, that's fine. You know, but it's not because I'm fucking walking out to mid and dying. You know, it's 'cause I'm getting probably dove beneath my fucking T2 at 7 minutes. So I do think a lot of it is kind of, you know, that, and I do think, you know, pretty much your guys' entire team, you know, has like Mordhau and stuff. Like even like tonight, you know, you guys don't have anything scheduled. Get on there, play, hang out. You know, we're scrimming at 8 or 9. I'll know for sure, so I think it's gonna be 9. You know, if you want to watch the scrim, come watch the scrim. Obviously, Turtle will get you in there, and then we can, you know, play Mordhau or whatever after. It's like hang out, and then tomorrow, you know, you guys, it's a normal scrim day for you guys. You'll be, you know, scrimming then. Maybe in August. That's pretty much it. I mean, I know it's a lot to take in for like one session. There's like tons of stuff on just, you know, kind of like competitive and thinking, and you know, then you have some god adjustments. There's gonna be a lot to work on, but I think like just the freezing aspect for the in game is a really big thing. And then I think kind of, you know, using the things you know to be true, like the static things that don't change, to kind of like to your advantage, and maybe, you know, not everyone knows them all. So if it's a situation like that and it comes down to you explaining something to someone that they might already know versus, you know, losing a game, you might as well
Cause
explain it.
yeah.
So that's like the other big thing, I think, and those are two like really big things. Like the freezing is like, usually I give you 3 things to work on, but the freezing is a really big thing, and that could be a whole thing in itself, a whole fucking 3 things easily. And the other thing's more of, you know, like as a teammate and like as a more like, you know, veteran player that you need to kind of be instilling in, like, you know, other things. 'Cause, like Drago like might say stupid things and he might have decent stats sometime, but he's like as green as you can be as in terms of competitive experience. You know, there's no substitute for experience. There's a reason why, you know, back in like any army way back when it actually mattered, you know, like a lot of like the veteran people, especially in Rome, were in the front right flank. That's the most important part of the formation that has to hold during a battle. They
Mhm.
put the most seasoned, most veteran people there for a reason. You know, it's like a minimum of usually like 10 to like 15 years experience in the army to be there. And that's like where the Centurions were, for to make sure that formation held. They knew the responsibility, knew what it meant, and they knew what the repercussion were if it didn't work. Because they could be somewhere else in the formation. If that part fell, they're gonna lose and they're probably gonna die. If not, they're gonna get home and they're gonna get decimated, which means they have a 60% chance of dying from the battle, and then a 30% chance of dying from decimation, because one of every 3 men is picked out, beaten to death on the ground in front of you by his teammates. So that's actually where the word decimation comes from.
Ooh.
So that's kind of like that. I mean, I'll leave it on that. I think I should do like info things. Maybe I should go start preaching the Bible to people, and just like randomly walk around the stage like one of those little headsets on. And like, all right, everyone. It's like, here's how you're all gonna give me your money today. I mean, how we learn about God.
Right.
So God is great. So is money, but love God. For 17 installments of $549, I'll give you all this plastic Jesus cross. If you wear this, he'll love you, even if you're gay. So, mom and dad, if you're worried about your son or daughter, buy them 7 and they'll be saved. Every coin in the coffer rings a soul from Purgatory Springs. Who needs some indulgences? I have 50 in my back pocket, going for the small price of your house.
That's how religion works. It's like that's how like those TV preachers get all that money. It's crazy.
That's what I mean, yeah. It's like, are you worried about your son? It's like, is your